The wrong text that changed everything. She sent her body to a stranger. He turned out to be the most dangerous man in New York. Lena Carter pressed send at 2:47 a.m. with shaking hands and a half-empty bottle of cheap wine on her nightstand. One photo. One moment of reckless courage meant to prove she still existed after he left her. But the name on that screen wasn't her ex-boyfriend. It was Adrian Vale, a man whose name people whispered in Brooklyn like a prayer or a curse. And now he had her face, her body, her number. Before you see how one mistake drags a waitress into the darkest empire in New York, hit that like button and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from tonight? Let me know how far this story travels. Now stay with me until the very end because what happens next will break you. The diner smelled like burnt coffee and old grease, the way it always did on a Thursday night shift at Mickey's on Flatbush. Lena Carter wiped down table 9 for the 4th time, not because it was dirty, but because her hands needed something to do. Her wrist ached. Her feet throbbed inside sneakers that should have been replaced 2 paychecks ago. The overhead fluorescent hummed that dying bee hum, and somewhere in the back, Rico the line cook was singing along to a radio that only played commercials. She was 26 years old, and she felt 40. Table 6 wants more coffee, Diane called from the register, snapping gum. And the guy at the counter is staring at you again. He's always staring. Yeah, well, tell him to tip with his eyes or order a damn sandwich. Lena forced a smile and grabbed the pot. The man at the counter was 70 if he was a day, chewing a toothpick like it owed him money. She poured him a refill and moved on, trying not to think about the phone in her apron pocket. The phone that had been silent for 9 days. 9 days since Marcus had looked at her across their tiny apartment in Bushwick and said the words she'd been feeling in the pit of her stomach for months. I don't love you anymore, Lena. I'm not sure I ever did. Just like that. No fight, no build-up. He'd said it the way a man tells a waitress he'd like his eggs over easy. She topped off table 6. Old Mr. Donnelly and his wife, who came in every Thursday, and split a patty melt because they couldn't afford 2. He slid her $1 under the saucer and winked. Chin up, sweetheart, he said. Whatever's eating you, it ain't worth the wait. Thanks, Mr. Donnelly. My wife says you look like a girl who's been crying in the bathroom. Your wife is very observant. My wife is a pain in my ass, he grinned with his 3 remaining good teeth. But she's usually right. Lena laughed, actually laughed, and it surprised her how much it hurt. Like using a muscle she'd let atrophy. She finished her shift at 11:40. Diane counted the tips, slid her cut across the counter, and raised an eyebrow at the sad little pile of singles. $72, Diane said. Not your worst night. Not my best. Honey, when was the last time you had a best? Lena didn't answer. She untied her apron, balled it up, and shoved it into her bag. Outside, the March air bit right through her coat. The cheap one from the Salvation Army on Atlantic. The one that smelled faintly of another woman's perfume no matter how many times she washed it. She walked to the Q train with her head down, hands deep in her pockets, wondering if tonight was the night she finally called her mother in Ohio and admitted she couldn't make it in New York. She'd been wondering that for about 3 years now. The apartment was exactly how she'd left it. A studio on the 4th floor of a walk-up that had stopped pretending to have working heat sometime in February. The kitchen was a hot plate and a mini fridge. The bathroom door didn't close all the way. There was a water stain on the ceiling that was shaped, if you squinted, like the state of Florida. Marcus used to joke about it. Marcus used to joke about a lot of things. His toothbrush was still in the cup by the sink. She'd left it there on purpose the first few days because taking it out felt like an admission. Then she'd left it there because she didn't want to think about it. Now it just felt like a dare. A stupid green and white dare. Lena dropped her bag on the floor, kicked off her shoes, and sat on the edge of the bed. She stared at the toothbrush. The toothbrush stared back. Fine, she said to no one. Fine. She grabbed it, walked to the bathroom, and dropped it in the trash can. Then she fished it out, held it a moment, and dropped it back in the trash can. Then she took the whole trash can to the hallway and left it by the stairs for the super. When she came back inside, she locked the door, slid down it until she was sitting on the cold linoleum, and cried the kind of cry she'd been holding back for 9 days. Ugly. Wet. The kind of cry that makes your throat raw and your eyes swell and your whole chest feel like someone's been standing on it. She cried until she couldn't anymore. Then she got up, washed her face, and poured herself a glass of the $4 Merlot she'd bought on sale at the bodega. By the second glass, she was remembering things. She was remembering how Marcus used to look at her in the beginning, like she was a secret he wanted to keep. She was remembering the photographs he used to take of her on his phone, back when he'd bought her that used Canon for her 24th birthday and called her his artist. Back when he'd said things like, "You're the most beautiful thing that ever walked into my life, Lena," and she had been stupid enough to believe him. By the third glass, she was angry. Not at him, at herself. At the version of Lena Carter who had let Marcus Delaney tell her what she was worth for 4.5 years. Who had taken shifts at Mickey's to cover his rent when he was between jobs. Who had stopped calling her friends because he said they were a bad influence. Who had looked in the mirror that morning and counted the ways she'd gotten older. 26. That wasn't old. That wasn't anything. She poured a fourth glass. The camera was on the shelf above the bed, gathering dust. She hadn't touched it in almost a year. She climbed up on the mattress, took it down, blew the dust off the lens cap. Her hands were steady now. The wine had done its work. She stood in front of the cracked full-length mirror, leaning against the closet door, and looked at herself. Really looked. Long dark hair that hadn't seen a salon in 8 months. Collarbones that stuck out more than they used to because she'd been forgetting to eat. A mouth her mother used to say was her best feature. Brown eyes with a little bit of gold when the light hit them. She wasn't a magazine cover. She wasn't trying to be. But she wasn't nothing, either. She thought about Marcus on some other woman's couch right now, telling her he'd never really loved Lena. Telling her all the same things he told Lena 4.5 years ago. Making her feel like she was the secret. "Screw that," Lena whispered. She set the camera on the nightstand, rigged it to the timer, and stood in front of the mirror. She was wearing an old black slip, the silky one she'd gotten at a thrift store in the East Village, when she still thought her life was going somewhere. She looked at her reflection, tilted her chin up, and did something she hadn't done in a long time. She let herself feel beautiful. The shutter clicked. Once, twice. She moved the camera, changed angles, laughed out loud at how ridiculous she looked, and also at how much she liked it. When she was done, she sat on the bed cross-legged and scrolled through the images on the little screen. There was one. One photo, taken in the half-light from the bedside lamp, where the shadows fell right and her hair fell right, and her mouth was doing something that wasn't a smile and wasn't not a smile. She looked like a woman who knew what she was worth. She looked, for the first time in a long time, like Lena Carter. She transferred it to her phone with the cable. She sat on the edge of the bed and stared at it. And then, because the wine was loud now, and because the hour was late, and because somewhere deep in her stupid, wounded heart, she wanted Marcus Delaney to see exactly what he'd thrown away, she opened her messages. She scrolled to his name. Except she didn't. She scrolled to what she thought was his name. Marcus was saved in her phone as M. Just the letter, because back when they'd started dating, she'd thought that was romantic and mysterious, and she'd never changed it. Right above M in her contacts was another M. Mike the landlord, because her landlord's name was Mike Mancuso, and she'd put his number in the day she signed the lease. Her thumb was clumsy. Her eyes were wet. The screen was too bright. She tapped. She wrote a caption. 3 words, no more. Look what you lost. She attached the photo. She pressed send. The little blue bubble swooshed away into the dark. She set the phone face down on the bed, dropped backwards onto the pillows, and was asleep inside of 90 seconds. 17 miles away, in a penthouse on the 43rd floor of a building that did not advertise its name, a phone buzzed on a glass desk. The man behind the desk did not look up immediately. He was reading a report. The report was about a shipment that had not arrived at a pier in Red Hook. The report was bad news. The man reading it was the kind of man for whom bad news about a shipment in Red Hook tended to become someone else's very bad news very quickly. Adrian Vale was 34 years old, and he did not look it. His hair was black, cut short, threaded with early silver at the temples. His eyes were a gray so pale they looked almost colorless under the desk lamp. He had a scar across the knuckles of his right hand from a knife fight in Kiev when he was 22, and another one low on his jaw from something he didn't talk about. He wore a white shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbow, no tie. There was a glass of something amber on the desk that he hadn't touched in an hour. The phone buzzed again. He turned it over with 2 fingers. Unknown number. His first thought was that unknown numbers did not reach this phone. This phone had been in his possession for 11 days. Its number had been given to precisely 4 people. None of those 4 people were unknown. He tapped the notification. The image loaded. Adrian Vale sat very, very still. He had been in a lot of rooms in his life. He had seen a lot of things. He was not a man who was easily surprised. He was a man who had watched his father bleed out on a kitchen floor in Odessa when he was 9, and then had gone to school the next morning because his mother said, "A Vale does not miss school." He was a man who had ordered the deaths of 7 people in the last 4 months and had slept every night without a dream. He was not supposed to be surprised by a photograph, but he sat there, in a penthouse that cost more per month than most Americans made in a year, and he stared at his phone. The photograph was of a woman. She was not naked. That wasn't what made him stop. She was wearing a black slip, cheap, a little wrinkled, and she was looking at the camera like she was daring it to look back. Her hair was dark and long and a little wild. Her shoulders were bare and thin. There was a water stain on the ceiling behind her that was shaped, if you tilted your head, like the state of Florida. The caption said, "Look what you lost." Adrian Vale read it twice. He set the phone down. He picked up the glass of whiskey. He did not drink it. He set it down again. In 34 years, no one had ever sent him a photograph like this. Not a woman, not a man, not a stranger, not a lover. The women in his life were carefully curated. They came from a particular world, a world that understood the rules. They did not send unsolicited photos to unknown numbers in the middle of the night with captions like, "Look what you lost." This was not that world. This was a mistake. He knew it immediately. He could read the context of it the way a doctor reads a chart. A woman, alone, at night, looking at herself in a bad mirror in a bad apartment, wearing something she'd owned for years, and sending a photograph into the dark because she wanted somebody to see. Not him. Somebody. Someone who had hurt her and who was supposed to be punished by the sight of her reclaiming something he thought he'd taken. Adrian Vale had not been that someone in his entire life. He should have deleted it. That was what a careful man would have done. That was what the man behind this desk always did, with photos and names and loose ends. He should have deleted it and had his people trace the number and added it to a list and never thought about it again. He didn't. He looked at the picture for a long time. Then he typed, "You have the wrong number." He watched the 3 little dots appear, disappear, appear again, disappear. Nothing came. He waited. A minute, 2. He typed again. "Are you safe?" The dots appeared, stayed there, stopped. He set the phone down, picked up the report about the shipment that had not arrived in Red Hook, and for the first time in a long time found he could not concentrate. Chatham. Lena woke up at 6:14 a.m. with a mouth like sandpaper and a skull like someone was inside it with a hammer. She lay very still, trying to remember why the inside of her chest felt like she'd lost something. Then she remembered. The toothbrush. The wine. "Oh no," she said, out loud, to the ceiling. "Oh no, oh no, oh no." She sat up too fast. Her head did something terrible. She lunged for the phone, sent messages. The most recent one last night, 2:47 a.m. An image. "Look what you lost." She clicked on it. She read the name on the message. She read it again. The name at the top of the thread was not M for Marcus. It was M, Mike the landlord. Lena made a sound that was somewhere between a laugh and a strangled cat. "No, no, 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 no." She scrolled down, and then her stomach fell through the floor, through the bed, through the 4th floor, through the ceiling of 3B below her, and all the way into the Atlantic Ocean, because the most recent number in the thread wasn't Mike Mancuso's. Mike's number started with 718, Brooklyn. This number started with 917, and below her panicked midnight message, there were 2 replies she hadn't noticed. "You have the wrong number. Are you safe?" Lena sat on the edge of her bed and put her face in her hands and tried very hard not to throw up. She had sent a photograph of herself in a slip to a wrong number. A stranger. A stranger who had written back. A stranger who had asked if she was safe. She sat there for a long time, the phone face down on the blanket next to her, and tried to think. Her head was still pounding. She needed water. She needed coffee. She needed a time machine. When she finally picked up the phone again, her hands were shaking. She opened the thread. She typed. She deleted. She typed again. I'm so sorry, that was a mistake. Please delete the photo. She pressed send before she could think about it. The three little dots appeared almost immediately. She stared at them, her heart trying to climb up her throat. It is already deleted. She exhaled. She'd been holding her breath without knowing it. Thank you, she typed. Thank you. I'm so sorry. I was sorry. The dots again. Are you safe? Lena read the words. She read them a second time. And something about them, the fact that he'd asked twice, the fact that he hadn't said anything cruel, the fact that he hadn't screenshot it or sent it back to her or said any of the 10 disgusting things she'd been imagining for the last 4 minutes made her cry all over again. I'm safe, she typed. I just had a really bad night. I'm sorry I bothered you. She set the phone down. She stayed there on the edge of the bed for a long time. And in the penthouse on the 43rd floor, Adrian Vale read her message, set his phone down on the glass desk, and made a decision that he would not, for a very long time, understand. His name was Victor. He had been Adrian's man for 11 years. He was built like a closed door and spoke like one too. The number, Adrian said. He did not look up from the papers on his desk. The papers were spread out again, the Red Hook report with them. He had not slept. It was 6:41 a.m. Victor stood in the doorway with his hands folded in front of him. He had been summoned 4 minutes ago and had come with the speed of a man who understood that when Mr. Vale called at 6:40 in the morning, it meant something. What number, sir? Adrian slid the phone across the desk without touching the screen. This number, the one that messaged at 2:47 this morning. I want to know who it belongs to. Name, address, employment, everything before noon. Victor looked at the phone. He did not ask any of the questions a lesser man would have asked. He nodded once. Sir, Victor said, if I may, is this a threat? Adrian looked up then. His pale eyes found Victor's and held them. No, he said. Not yet. Victor left. Adrian Vale sat at his desk in the blue early morning light over Manhattan and stared at a phone that had gone quiet again. He did not know yet why he had asked Victor to find her. He told himself it was security. A stranger had reached this number. That was a breach. It had to be checked. That was all. He almost believed it. Tia. At 7:15 a.m., Lena showered for 20 minutes under water that didn't quite get hot. She scrubbed her face. She brushed her teeth. She put on the only clean jeans she had and a sweater that had a small moth hole at the elbow, and she told herself over and over, it is deleted, it is done. You will never hear from him again. At 9:30, she caught the Q train to work. At 11:10, she was refilling coffee at table 4 when the little bell above the door at Mickey's on Flatbush chimed. 2 men walked in. They did not look like Mickey's customers. They were wearing suits. Black. Expensive. They were not the suits of men who sold insurance. They were the suits of men who had money invested in people who sold insurance and also in other things. The first one was big, the size of a refrigerator. He stood near the door and did not sit. The second one was smaller, older, carrying a leather folder. He walked to the counter, looked around the diner slowly, and then his eyes found Lena. He smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a professional. Miss Carter, he said. Lena's stomach dropped for the second time in 12 hours. Diane, behind the register, looked up from her crossword. Rico stopped singing in the back. Yes? Lena said. My name is Mr. Sloan. I work for a gentleman who would like to speak with you. If it's not too inconvenient, he has sent a car. I'm told your shift ends at 3. What? Who? Mr. Sloan's smile did not change. Your shift ends at 3, Miss Carter? I don't know you, Lena said. I don't know who you work for. I'm not going anywhere with you. I'm sorry. Of course. Mr. Sloan nodded as if he'd expected this. He reached into his jacket, and Lena flinched, and he noticed, and he went more slowly. He produced a cream-colored envelope. He set it on the counter between them. My employer anticipated that you would feel this way. He has written you a note. If, after reading it, you change your mind. The car will be at the corner of Flatbush and Church at 3:15. It is a black sedan. You will recognize it because it will be the only one. If you do not come, it will leave at 3:20 and you will not see us again." He inclined his head politely. He turned. He and the refrigerator walked out of Mickey's on Flatbush, and the little bell chimed behind them. Diane and Rico and the two old ladies at table 2 all stared at Lena. "Honey?" Diane said quietly. "What in the hell was that?" Lena's hands were shaking so hard she could barely open the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of heavy paper, ivory. There were 3 lines on it, handwritten in black ink in a man's tight, careful hand. "The photo is deleted. You have my word. I would like to buy you breakfast. You may choose the place." Lena read it 3 times. She folded it. She unfolded it. She folded it again. "Lena," Diane said, coming around the counter. "Lena, honey, what is it?" "I don't know," Lena said. Her voice sounded very far away. "I don't know." She almost didn't go. She spent the rest of her shift in a fog. She spilled coffee on table 7. She gave old Mr. Donnelly the wrong check. She walked into the wall behind the counter twice. At 2:50, she told Diane she had to leave 10 minutes early. "Lena?" Diane grabbed her wrist. Her grip was surprisingly hard. "Lena, look at me. Whoever that was, that is not a breakfast invitation. That is not a date. Those men, those were those kind of men. You understand what I'm saying?" "I know." "Do you owe somebody money? Is Marcus in trouble? Tell me what's going on." "Diane, it's a mistake. It's all a mistake. I just need to go fix it." "Fix it by not going." Lena looked at her. "He knew my name," she said quietly. "He knew my shift. He knew where I worked. If I don't go, Diane, he knows where I live next." Diane's face went still. "Oh, honey," she said. "I'll call you," Lena said. "At 5. If I don't call you at 5, you call somebody." "Who am I supposed to call?" "I don't know. The cops." "Somebody." "Lena, I'll call you at 5. She untied her apron. She left it on the counter. At 3:15, she walked to the corner of Flatbush and Church. The sedan was there. It was the only one. The car was a Mercedes, black, with tinted windows that looked like spilled ink. The rear door opened from the inside before she could touch the handle. The driver she couldn't see said, "Miss Carter, please." His voice was polite. She got in because her knees were threatening to do something else. The interior smelled like leather and something colder. A man's cologne, subtle, expensive. There was a bottle of water waiting in the cup holder. She didn't touch it. The door closed with a sound like a vault. They pulled into traffic. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Wherever you'd like, Miss Carter. Mr. Vale said you were to choose." "I don't know anywhere. Anywhere a person like him would go." The driver's eyes found hers in the rearview mirror. He was older, maybe 60, with a face like a clenched fist and eyes that were unexpectedly kind. "Miss Carter, may I make a suggestion?" "Please." "Mr. Vale does not care where you eat. Mr. Vale cares that you are comfortable. Would you like to go to a diner you trust, a place where you know the people?" She stared at the back of his head. There's a place on Nostrand, Pearls. I go there sometimes." "Pearls on Nostrand it is." He turned the car. Lena sat in the back of a Mercedes worth more than her building, clutching her cheap coat around her, and she thought about Diane, about the cops, about the 3 lines of black ink in a man's tight, careful hand, and she thought, "I should be running. I am in a car with a stranger, and I am going to breakfast with a man whose name is written only in initials and whose men wear suits like that." And underneath that thought, quiet and confused, and also, somehow, a little bit alive for the first time in 9 days, was another one. He said he deleted it. He said, "I have his word." I believed him. Why did I believe him? Pearls on Nostrand was half full at 3:30 on a Thursday afternoon. Pearl herself was behind the register. She took one look at the black Mercedes pulling up outside her window, and then at Lena stepping out of it, and her eyebrows climbed halfway to her hairline. "Lena, baby," she said as Lena came through the door. "You okay?" "I'm okay, Pearl." "Is the back booth free?" Pearl's eyes flicked past her to the door. A man was coming in behind her. He was tall, over 6 feet. He was wearing a charcoal wool coat that looked like it had been made for him by a man who knew him by name. His hair was black and short, and his eyes were the pale gray of a winter sky over the harbor. Pearl looked at him. Pearl looked at Lena. Pearl looked back at him. "Booth's free, baby," she said slowly. "I'll bring the coffee." Lena walked to the back booth on legs that did not feel like hers. She slid in. The man slid in across from her. He moved the way careful men move, without sound, without wasted motion. He unbuttoned his coat but did not take it off. He set his phone face down on the table. He folded his hands. He was more handsome than she had expected. She hated him for that. "Miss Carter," he said. His voice was low. There was something in it, not an accent exactly, but the shadow of one, like he had spoken another language a long time ago, and some of it had stayed in his mouth. "Thank you for coming." "I don't know who you are." "Yes, you do." "I don't." He almost smiled. It did not reach his eyes. "Then I am a man who received a photograph at 2:47 in the morning. My name is Adrian." "Adrian what?" "Adrian is enough for now." Pearl came by with 2 coffees. She set them down hard enough that a little of his sloshed into the saucer. She gave him a look that could have peeled paint and went back to the counter. Lena wrapped her hands around her cup because she needed something to hold. "You scared me," she said. "I know." "You sent men to my job." "I know." "You could have just, I don't know, texted me back, said, 'It's okay, don't worry about it.' You didn't have to. You didn't have to find me." "You're right. I could have." "Then why didn't you?" Adrian Vale looked at her across a chipped diner table in a back booth at Pearl's on Nostrand. His pale eyes did not leave hers. For a long moment, he did not answer. "Because I wanted to see who you were," he said finally, "and I did not have a good reason." Lena stared at him. "That's not an answer." "It is the only honest one I have." She didn't know what to do with that. She looked down at her coffee. She looked back up at him. There was something about him, something she couldn't name. He was dangerous. She could feel it the way a deer feels a wolf on the edge of a tree line. He was dangerous in a way that was almost quiet, almost restful, like a knife laid carefully on a shelf. But there was something else too. Something tired. Something that did not sleep well. She had seen that something in her own mirror that morning. "Mr. Adrian," she said, "I was drunk. I was stupid. I was trying to send that photo to my ex-boyfriend. I don't know who you are. I don't know how your number was 1 digit off from his. I don't know why you had 2 men in suits walk into my diner at 11 in the morning and scare my coworker half to death. I have $72 in cash in my apron. I don't owe anybody anything. I can't pay anybody anything. I didn't mean to bother you. I am very sorry I bothered you. And I just want to go home, go to sleep, and never think about this again. Bartus." "Bata? All right." She blinked. "All right? All right. If that is what you want, a car will take you home after you finish your coffee." "That's it?" "That is it." Lena stared at him. He stared back. His hands were folded on the table. One of them had a scar across the knuckles, a thin white line like a fine crack in a cup. "Then why am I here?" she asked. "Because you wanted to be here." "Excuse me?" "Miss Carter." He leaned forward very slightly. "I sent a driver to a corner. The car was going to leave at 3:20, whether you came or not. You came. You chose a diner where people know your name. You're sitting across from me. You're drinking my coffee. You are asking me questions. You scared me into coming. Perhaps. You didn't give me a choice. I gave you every choice. You chose this one." She opened her mouth. She closed it again. He was right. That was the worst part. He was right. She didn't know why she had gotten in the car. She didn't know why, when Mr. Sloan had come into Mickey's, she had not called 911 the second he'd turned his back. She didn't know why. 3 glasses of Merlot at 2 in the morning, she had been vain enough to take a picture of herself in a slip in a bad apartment and send it into the dark. She was tired of not knowing why she did things. "What do you want from me?" she said. Adrian looked at her for a long moment. "Nothing," he said. "I wanted to see your face. I've seen it. Thank you. Your coffee is getting cold." He reached into his coat, took out a thin leather wallet, and laid a $100 bill on the table. He slid it under the saucer the way old Mr. Donnelly slid his dollar. He stood. He paused. He looked down at her. "Miss Carter," he said, more quietly, "may I say one thing?" I... Her throat felt very tight. "Yes. Whoever you were sending that photograph to, the man you meant to send it to, he was not worth it." Lena stared up at him. "How do you—" "Because of the caption," Adrian said. "Look what you lost." Those are the words of someone who is still explaining herself to a person who stopped deserving her explanations a long time ago. You owe him nothing. Not a photograph, not a message, not a minute of your night. Get a new phone number, Miss Carter. Delete his. He buttoned his coat. "Good afternoon." He walked out of Pearl's on Nostrand. The little bell chimed behind him. Through the window, Lena watched him get into the back of the Mercedes. It pulled away into traffic, and it was gone. Pearl came over. She sat down across from Lena, took one look at the $100 bill, and whistled low. "Baby," she said, "who in the sweet name of everything was that?" Lena didn't answer. She was looking at the window where the Mercedes had been. Her coffee had gone cold. She did not know, yet, that the man in the Mercedes was going to send another one, tomorrow, with another envelope in it, and another one the day after that. She did not know that in 10 days she would be standing in an apartment on the 43rd floor of a building that did not advertise its name, holding a camera that cost more than her year's rent, being told she had a job if she wanted it. She did not know that 3 months from now, she would be laughing at something a man with a scar across his knuckles said, and it would be the first time she had laughed that way since she was 20. She did not know that there was a man named Marcus Delaney in a studio in Bushwick, her ex-boyfriend, the one she had been trying so hard to hurt, who was, at that moment, sitting at a cheap desk, staring at his own phone, at an app he had installed on her phone 7 months ago, reading every single message she had exchanged with a 917 number that had started talking to her at 2:47 in the morning. She did not know that Marcus was already on the phone with a voice she had never heard before, a voice that belonged to a very large, very unhappy man in Staten Island. And she did not know that the sentence that voice was speaking right then was, "Vale. Tell me that name again, slowly." She did not know any of that yet. She only knew, sitting in the back booth at Pearl's with a $100 bill under the saucer and Pearl watching her with worried eyes, that a stranger had found her. And she had not run. And he had not hurt her. And he had, in 3 lines of black ink and 1 sentence at the end of a coffee, said a thing about her that was the truest thing she had heard anyone say in 4.5 years. Lena Carter put her head down on the table at Pearl's on Nostrand, and for the second time in 12 hours, she cried. Pearl reached across the table and put a warm hand on the back of her neck. "It's okay, baby," she said quietly. "It's okay." Outside, the March afternoon was turning blue at the edges. Somewhere uptown, in a penthouse on the 43rd floor, a man with pale eyes was setting his coat over the back of a chair, picking up a phone, and saying to the man named Victor, "I want to know everything about our ex-boyfriend. His name, his address, his debts, who he owes, who he talks to. By tonight." He paused at the window. Manhattan was blurring into dusk beyond the glass. "And Victor," he said, "be gentle. She doesn't know yet." "Know what, sir?" Adrian Vale looked out over a city of 9 million strangers, and for the first time in a long time his pale eyes were not tired. "That someone is already watching her," he said, "and it is not me." Lena did not call Diane at 5. She called her at 4:47, standing on the sidewalk outside Pearl's, her breath making little white clouds in the cold, her hand shaking so hard she had to hold the phone with both hands. "I'm alive," she said when Diane picked up. "Oh, thank Jesus, Lena. Jesus. Where are you? Are you okay? Who was he? What did he want?" I don't know, and I don't know." Lena. "I'm going home, Diane. I'm fine. Nothing happened. He bought me a coffee and left. That's it." "That's it?" "That's it." Diane was quiet for a long moment. "Honey," she said finally, "men in suits like that don't spend a morning finding a waitress at a Brooklyn diner to buy her a coffee and walk away." "Well, this one did." "Then he's going to come back." Lena didn't answer. She watched a city bus grind past on Nostrand, kicking up a little spray from the gutter. "Call me when you get home," Diane said. "And Lena, lock your door." "I always lock my door. Lock it twice." Lena walked to the subway. She rode the queue in a daze, holding her bag in her lap, looking at her own reflection in the dark window across from her. She looked exactly like she had that morning, except that everything she was looking at had changed. In the 40 minutes it took her to get home, she thought of 20 different things Adrian Vale might have meant. She thought of the way he'd looked at her when he'd said, "I wanted to see who you were." She thought of the way he had slid the 100 under the saucer like he didn't even know he was doing it, the way a man who'd grown up with nothing and then grown up with everything learns the gestures of both and sometimes mixes them. She thought of his voice when he'd said he was not worth it. She thought about how a stranger had said that to her, and it had landed harder than anything Marcus had said in the last year of their relationship. She did not once think that the stranger himself might be worse than Marcus. That was the part she would be angry about later. She walked up the 4 flights to her apartment. The hallway smelled like somebody's onions. The trash can she had left out the night before was still there, Marcus's toothbrush sticking out of it like a small green and white accusation. She took the can inside, dumped it, tied off the bag, and carried it back out to the stairwell. She double-locked the door. She made ramen, the good kind, with an egg. She sat on the edge of her bed and ate it, watching the news on her laptop with the sound down, not really watching, and at 7:30 she fell asleep still in her jeans with the bowl balanced on the pillow next to her. Her phone buzzed at 9:04. She came up out of sleep slowly, confused. She reached for it. Unknown number. But her stomach told her it wasn't unknown. "I hope you got home safely." She sat up. She wiped her mouth. She stared at the screen for a long time. She typed, "How did you get my number? You sent it to me at 2:47 this morning." She sat there with her thumb hovering. She thought about not answering. She thought about blocking him. She thought about a lot of things. She typed, "Right." The 3 dots appeared. "I meant what I said about the photograph." Deleted. "You have my word. You will not hear from me again unless you want to." "Then why are you texting me?" A pause. A long one. To say goodnight. Lena laughed out loud. She didn't mean to. It was the absurdity of it. A man who had sent 2 bodyguards into her diner at lunchtime, texting a waitress goodnight from wherever it was that men like him slept. "Good night, Adrian." She turned the phone face down. She put her bowl in the sink. She changed into pajamas. She climbed into bed. She turned the phone face up again. The thread was still there. "Good night, Adrian." No reply. He had taken her at her word. She put the phone face down one more time, and she lay in the dark, and she did not sleep for almost an hour. 17 miles uptown, Adrian Vale was not sleeping either. He was in a conference room on the 38th floor. The table was glass. The chairs were leather. There were 4 men in the room besides him. 3 of them were his. The 4th was a man named Petrov, who ran a construction company that wasn't really a construction company, and who had taken 2 shipments of Adrian's product in the last 6 months that he had not paid for. Petrov was sweating. "Mr. Vale," he said. "Mr. Vale, please. There was a miscommunication. My accountant—" "Your accountant?" "Yes, my accountant, he—" "Mr. Petrov." Adrian's voice was very quiet. He had not raised it in 3 years. He had not needed to. "If your accountant is the reason I am missing $800,000, I would like to meet him." Petrov's face went the color of old milk. He is Victor." Victor, standing by the door, inclined his head. "Find Mr. Petrov's accountant," Adrian said, not looking up from the papers in front of him. "Invite him to a meeting." "I'll pay," Petrov said, too fast. "I'll pay. Tomorrow. By tomorrow evening. I swear on my mother. Your mother passed 3 years ago, Mr. Petrov. I was at the service. Please do not swear on her." Petrov started to cry. It was not, Adrian thought, a good look on a man of 53 in a suit that cost $4,000. "You have 72 hours, Adrian said. "Not because you deserve them, because I am distracted tonight. Don't mistake the distraction for mercy." Petrov was escorted out. When the door closed, Victor came and stood at the side of the glass table. He had a folder under his arm. He did not sit. "The girl," he said. "The girl. Her name is Lena Marie Carter, 26, born Akron, Ohio. Mother still lives there. Kathleen Carter works at a dentist's office. Father deceased, lung cancer, when she was 14. Carter moved to New York when she was 21, wanted to be a photographer. Never quite got there. Works at Mickey's Diner on Flatbush, 5 shifts a week. Rent is $1,100 a month, $400 overdue. Boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, as of approximately 9 days ago, is Marcus Delaney, 28. And this is where it becomes interesting. Adrian looked up. Victor opened the folder. He slid a printout across the table. Mr. Delaney is a man with a problem. Specifically, his problem is that he owes $86,000 to a man named Dmitry Kuznetsov out of Staten Island. You know Mr. Kuznetsov. Adrian's jaw tightened very slightly. He knew Mr. Kuznetsov. Mr. Kuznetsov had been a thorn in his side for 11 years. Mr. Delaney has also, for the last 7 months, been using a commercial-grade surveillance application to monitor Miss Carter's phone. Calls, messages, location. The application was installed the day he moved into her apartment. He had full access to her device, including the text thread from last night. Adrian's pale eyes went very still. He saw the photograph, he said. He saw the photograph. He also saw your reply. He does not have a name. He has a number, a 917 number. But he is not a stupid man. Mr. Kuznetsov, he has resources. If he starts asking who that number belongs to, he will find out. Eventually. How eventually? A day. Maybe 2. Adrian stood up. He walked to the window. Manhattan was out there, glittering stupidly in the dark. He could see his own reflection in the black glass, a tall man in a white shirt with his sleeves rolled up, looking back at himself like a stranger. Why was he watching her, he said. Best guess? He was using her. Kuznetsov has been looking for leverage on me for a long time. Delaney is nobody, but he's in debt to Kuznetsov, and Kuznetsov told him to put the app on his girlfriend's phone. And who knows, maybe eventually, one day, that girlfriend texts the wrong person, or bumps into the wrong person, or photographs the wrong person. Fishing, sir. A very long line in a very big river. And we swam up to it. She didn't know. No, she did not know. She does not know now. And the breakup. He dumped her 9 days ago. Our guess is because the app had stopped being useful. She was working double shifts, paying his rent, and spending her free time crying. No contacts in her life worth watching. He'd been looking to end it for a while. The photograph, forgive me, sir. She was trying to send it to him. Wrong number. Pure accident. Adrian stood at the window for a long time. Victor. Sir, if I walk away from this tonight, if I tell you to close the file, she never hears from me again. What happens to her? Victor was quiet. He was not a man who spoke when he did not have something true to say. Kuznetsov finds out a waitress in Brooklyn has the direct line to Adrian Vale, he said. Even if you walk away. Even if she walks away. He takes her. He holds her. He uses her the way Delaney was going to use her. Maybe he kills her first, maybe after. It depends on his mood and what he thinks you'll pay. And if I don't walk away, then he still finds out. But he finds out that the waitress in Brooklyn is under your hand, which means he cannot take her without taking you, which is a different calculation, a more expensive one. Adrian turned from the window. I did not ask for this, he said. No, sir, you did not. She did not ask for it either. No, sir. Adrian stood in the middle of the room. He looked at the glass table. He looked at the folder. He looked at his own hands, at the small white scar across the knuckles of the right one that he had gotten in a knife fight in Kiev when he was 22, because he had not wanted to kill the other man, and the other man had not shared his hesitation. Put 2 men on her building tonight, he said, outside. Quiet. She does not see them. If Delaney comes anywhere near that apartment, I want to know before he touches the door. Sir? And Victor, bring Marcus Delaney to me. When? Tonight. Victor inclined his head and was gone. Adrian Vale stood alone in the conference room on the 38th floor. He looked down at his own hand on the back of the leather chair. It was perfectly steady. It was always perfectly steady. That was the thing about him, the thing his father had trained into him before the kitchen floor in Odessa. A Vale's hand does not shake. Not ever. His hand was perfectly steady, and inside his chest, something he had not felt in 16 years was moving around like an animal waking up. He did not know what to call it yet. At 9:51 p.m., Lena Carter was sitting up in bed with her laptop open, searching the name Adrian Vale. She had resisted for 20 minutes. She had told herself it was better not to know. She had told herself a lot of things. At 9:50, she had given up and opened a browser. There wasn't much. That was in itself terrifying. A man named Adrian Vale did not show up on Google. No LinkedIn, no society pages, no charity dinners. There was a dentist named Adrian Vale in Arizona. There was a high school football player in Georgia. There was a dead soldier from World War I. There was no Adrian Vale who owned a Mercedes with tinted windows and sent bodyguards into Brooklyn diners. She typed Adrian Vale, New York. Nothing. She typed Adrian Vale, Manhattan. Nothing. She sat back. She chewed her thumbnail. And then, feeling foolish, she typed Adrian Vale crime. Her laptop fan whirred. A forum post came up. A Reddit thread from 4 years ago, buried deep in an archive. A user named Goodnight Brooklyn had written in a thread about organized crime in the outer boroughs. Nobody talks about Vale anymore because nobody who talks about Vale talks about anything for very long. He's the one nobody writes about. That's the whole point. You don't write about him. You don't. The post had 3 upvotes. It was 4 years old. It had not been replied to. Lena closed the laptop. She sat in the dark of her apartment and her heart was doing something very loud. You don't write about him. You don't. She reached for her phone. She opened the thread. She looked at the good night he had sent her. She looked at her own reply. She started typing. Are you a dangerous man? She looked at the words. She erased them. Who are you? She erased that too. She wrote finally, please don't contact me again. I'm sorry I bothered you. Please forget this happened. Her thumb was over send. She did not press it. She stared at the screen until it went dark. So, Marcus Delaney lived in a 2-room walk-up on Stockton in Bushwick, 1 floor above a bodega that played Spanish-language talk radio until 1 in the morning. He was sitting at a small desk in the corner of the second room, not exactly a bedroom because the bed was a futon, and not exactly an office because the desk was a card table, and he was yelling into his phone. I don't know what the number is, I'm telling you what I saw, he was saying. 917 something something. I can get you the full number in 10 minutes. I just have to log back into the app. The voice on the other end was speaking Russian. Marcus did not speak Russian. He only knew that when the voice switched to Russian, it meant the man attached to the voice was angry. English, please, Marcus said. English, Dmitri, come on. The number, Marcus, give me the number. I'm getting it. Hold on. He put the phone down. He was sweating through his t-shirt. His laptop was open on the card table. The surveillance dashboard was up. He scrolled to Lena's messages. He scrolled to the top of the thread from last night. He copied the number. He picked the phone back up. Okay, it's... There was a sound at the door. Not a knock, not a kick. A sound like the lock turning. Marcus's head came up. His door was dead-bolted. Dmitri, he said quietly. Dmitri, hold on. I think there's... The door opened. 2 men walked into Marcus Delaney's apartment. They closed the door behind them. They did this without hurry and without drama, like men walking into a kitchen to look for a coffee cup. The first man was enormous, the size of a refrigerator. The second man was smaller, older, carrying a leather folder. Mr. Delaney, the second man said, my name is Mr. Sloan. I work for a gentleman who would like to speak with you. Please put the phone down. Marcus looked at the phone in his hand. He looked at Mr. Sloan. He looked at the refrigerator. He put the phone down. On the other end, tinny, he could hear Dmitry Kuznetsov shouting his name. Marcus. Marcus. Marcus, you fuck, what is happening? Marcus. The refrigerator walked over to the card table and without changing expression, crushed Marcus Delaney's phone under his boot. The sound it made was the sound a small animal makes when it dies. Mr. Delaney? Mr. Sloan said, a car is waiting. I don't know who you don't. Please put on your shoes. It is cold. At 11:02 p.m., Adrian Vale was sitting at the glass table on the 38th floor when the door opened and Marcus Delaney was walked in. Adrian looked up. He had not known what to expect. He had built, in his head, a picture of the man who had spent 4.5 years with Lena Carter and then left her. He had expected someone taller, maybe. Someone with some kind of weight to him, some presence. Marcus Delaney was not that. He was 28 years old. He was average in every direction. Brown hair that needed cutting. A face that had probably been handsome at 20 and had already started to go soft at the edges. He was wearing a t-shirt that said the name of a band and jeans that had seen better days. And he had the look, the particular look, of a man who had always been able to talk his way out of things and had just realized that this was one of the things he could not. He was shaking. "Sit down, Mr. Delaney," Adrian said. Marcus sat. The leather of the chair creaked under him. "Do you know who I am?" Adrian said. "No. Are you sure?" No, I don't. I don't know. The number you were about to give to Dmitry Kuznetsov over the phone, the 917 number, is mine." Marcus closed his eyes. "Oh God," he said. "Oh God, oh God, oh God. I would prefer you did not do that. I'm sorry. I'm Mr. Vale. Mr. Vale, I didn't know. I didn't know. It was a photograph. I didn't." "Open your eyes, Mr. Delaney." Marcus opened his eyes. Adrian had not moved. He had not raised his voice. His hands were folded on the glass table and his pale eyes were perfectly level. And Marcus Delaney understood, for the first time in his short and stupid life, what it meant to be in the presence of a predator. It was not loud. It was not dramatic. It was a room that had gone colder by about 10 degrees without anyone touching the thermostat. "Mr. Delaney," Adrian said, "I'm going to ask you questions. You're going to answer them honestly. If I detect a lie, Mr. Sloan here will correct you. Do you understand?" "Yes." "How long have you been placing surveillance software on Miss Carter's phone?" 7 months, since August." "Why?" "Dmitry Kuznetsov, he said I owed him. I do owe him. I owe him a lot. He said if I put the app on her phone, he'd take it off what I owed. He said she might. One day she might. Sometimes people text the wrong number. She might, eventually. A waitress in the city, thousands of people. She might brush up against somebody. I didn't think she ever would. I didn't think anything would come of it. I was getting the interest off my back." "How much did he reduce your debt?" $5,000 a month. "For 7 months?" "Yes." $35,000, Mr. Delaney. That is what Miss Carter's privacy was worth to you." Marcus did not answer. A muscle in his cheek was jumping. "You left her 9 days ago," Adrian said. "Yes." "Why?" Because Dmitry said the app was going stale. She wasn't going anywhere. She wasn't talking to anybody. She was just working and paying my rent and crying at night. He said to wind it down. Keep the app on her phone a little longer, in case, but end it. "So he told you to end it?" Yes, pretty much." "And you did?" "Yes." "You told her you didn't love her. You told her you were not sure you ever had." Marcus blinked. How do you know?" "She told me." That was not technically true. Victor's report had included a summary of the message history. The words had been in it. "I don't love you anymore, Lena. I'm not sure I ever did." Adrian had read them and they had stayed with him, the way certain lines of poetry stay with a reader, except this one had not been poetry. This one had been a small, sharp thing that a man had said to a woman and meant, or at least pretended to mean, and had left in her chest like a splinter. He was going to take it out. He was not sure yet how, but he was going to take it out. "Mr. Delaney," he said, "do you know what I'm going to do to you?" "Please," Marcus said. He was crying now, openly. "Please, Mr. Vale, please. My mother. I am not going to kill you, Mr. Delaney." Marcus looked up. "I'm not going to kill you because Miss Carter would not want me to. I'm not going to hurt you because Miss Carter would not want me to. What I'm going to do is this. You are going to get on a bus tonight. Mr. Sloan will give you the ticket. The bus goes to Tucson, Arizona. You have a cousin in Tucson. You will stay with that cousin. You will not return to New York. You will not contact Miss Carter by phone, by email, by any application, by letter, or by appearance. You will not speak her name to another human being for the rest of your life. Do you understand me?" "Yes." "If you break any of these rules, Mr. Delaney, I will find out. I find out everything. And then I will find you in Tucson, Arizona, and I will kill you. And then I will kill your cousin. And then I will kill your mother in Scranton. Do you understand me?" Marcus was sobbing. "Yes. Repeat it. I don't go near her. I don't call her. I don't say her name. I go to Tucson. I stay there. If I don't, you... Good enough. One more thing, Mr. Delaney. Yes. Your debt to Mr. Kuznetsov. $86,000. As of tonight, you owe him nothing. Marcus blinked through his tears. What? I am paying it. Mr. Kuznetsov will have the money in his account before you board the bus. He will be told that the account you used to be is closed. He will be told, specifically, that Miss Carter is no longer a topic on which he is permitted to have an opinion. That is an expensive conversation, Mr. Delaney, and you are not going to thank me for it, because if you thank me for it, I will take it back and we will have a different conversation. Are we clear? Yes. Then we are done. Mr. Sloan stepped forward. He took Marcus Delaney by the elbow, gently, like a nurse helping an old man out of a chair. He walked him to the door. At the door, Marcus turned just slightly, like he wanted to say something. He did not say it. The door closed. Adrian Vale sat at the glass table alone. He put his face in his hands briefly, and he breathed out. It was not a sound he made in front of other people. He did not know he had made it. Victor, coming back into the room a moment later, saw him from the doorway and politely stood still until Adrian sat back up again. Sir, Victor said, the money goes to Kuznetsov tonight. Yes, sir. And Victor. Sir? Kuznetsov will not accept this quietly. No, sir, he will not. He will understand that something has changed, that someone has come up behind the girl. He will want to know why. Yes, sir. Do not tell him why. No, sir. Adrian stood. He walked to the window. He looked out at Manhattan. His hand was on the glass now, palm flat, and it was still perfectly steady. Tomorrow, he said, I want you to courier something to Miss Carter. A camera. A good one, not the most expensive one. She will not accept the most expensive one. The second best one. With a note. What should the note say, sir? Adrian was quiet for a long time. It should say, he said finally, Mr. Delaney has left town. The photograph remains deleted. You owe me nothing. This is a gift, not a debt. If you ever want to take a picture of anything other than yourself in a mirror at 2 a.m, my number is in your phone. Victor did not laugh. Victor did not laugh at things, but something in his face moved. Sir, sign it AV. Sir. Good night, Victor. Good night, Mr. Vale. Victor left. Adrian Vale stood at the window on the 38th floor and watched the lights of the city he had bought and sold 1,000 times. And he thought about a woman in a slip in a mirror in Brooklyn who had taken a picture of herself at 2:47 in the morning because the only thing in the world she had been trying to prove was that she was still there. He thought, I am not going to do this. He thought, I am going to do this so I can bounce. The camera arrived at Mickey's at 11:20 the next morning. Diane was the one who signed for it. The courier was nondescript, polite, and gone inside of a minute. The package was not enormous. It was a plain cardboard box, brown, with Lena's name on it in careful black handwriting. Diane brought it around the counter. Lena, she said. Her voice was strange. Lena, baby, this came for you. Lena was pouring coffee for table 4. She set the pot down. She came over. She looked at the box. She looked at the handwriting. She recognized it. She didn't pick it up. Open it at my place, Diane said quietly. Not here. Not in front of everybody. Diane? Lena. Lena took the box into the back office. She closed the door. She sat on the little metal folding chair by the safe. She set the box on the desk. She did not open it for almost 2 minutes. When she did, she opened it slowly, like there might be something alive in it. There was not something alive. There was a camera, a Sony. Mirrorless. Full frame. The kind of camera that was pictured in the magazines Lena read at the Barnes & Noble on Court Street and then put back on the shelf because looking at the price tags too long made her chest hurt. There was a lens already on it. There was a second lens in a soft cloth bag tucked beside it. There was a strap, leather, already threaded through the body. There was a memory card sealed in plastic. There was an envelope. She took the envelope out with hands that had gone numb. She opened it. Mr. Delaney has left town. The photograph remains deleted. You owe me nothing. This is a gift, not a debt. If you ever want to take a picture of anything other than yourself in a mirror at 2 a.m, my number is in your phone. AV Lena read it 4 times. She put the note down on the desk. She put her hands over her face. She laughed. She cried. She laughed again. She took her hands off her face and looked at the camera. She picked it up. It was heavy in the way good cameras are heavy, that serious, comforting weight, the weight of something that was going to do what you asked it to do. The grip fit her hand. She had held a camera like this exactly once in her life, in the store on 9th Street where she went sometimes to look at things she couldn't afford. The door opened. Diane came in. She looked at the camera. She looked at Lena's face. She looked at the note on the desk. "Lena," she said, "I know." "Lena, honey, this is—" "I know, Diane. You can't keep it. I know." "You can't. You know what this is. You know what it means. Men like that don't give presents. They give collars." Lena didn't answer. She was looking at the camera. She was thinking, I haven't been able to afford a new lens in 3 years. I haven't taken a real photograph in 11 months. I live in a walk-up with a water stain shaped like Florida on the ceiling, and I work 5 shifts a week at a diner, and I have $72 in cash in my apron, and a man just sent me a $2,000 camera and told me my ex-boyfriend left town. Left town. She picked up the note again. "Mr. Delaney has left town." She put the note down. "Diane," she said quietly, "what do you mean Marcus left town?" Diane was looking at her with a face Lena had not seen on her before. "I don't," she said. "I don't know what that means, honey. I need to call Marcus. Lena, I just need to know he's okay. I don't care about him, Diane. I just need to know." She got her phone out. She called him. It rang. It rang. It rang. It went to voicemail. "This is Marcus. Leave me a thing." She hung up. She called again. Voicemail. She tried his work. "Hi, this is Marcus's girlfriend. Ex-girlfriend. Sorry. This is Lena Carter. I was just calling to see if Marcus was at work today." "Oh, hi, Lena. Yeah. Actually, no. He called in this morning, said he had a family emergency out of state. Said he wouldn't be back for a while. He was pretty rushed, honestly." "Did he say where?" "Arizona, I think. His cousins. He sounded how? I don't know. Scared? I don't know. Are you okay, Lena?" "I'm fine, thank you." She hung up. She sat very still on the little metal folding chair in the back office of Mickey's on Flatbush, with a Sony camera that cost more than her month's rent sitting on the desk in front of her, and a note from a man whose name she had found exactly one mention of in a 4-year-old forum post, and she understood, with a cold clarity she had not had before, that something had happened last night while she was sleeping, and it had happened because of her and a man had made it happen, and she did not know whether to be grateful or terrified. She was both. That was the thing she kept coming back to. She was both. "Diane," she said, "I have to go." "Go where?" "I have to go." "Lena, sweetheart, where?" Lena was already grabbing her coat. She did not go to the penthouse on the 43rd floor because she did not know where the penthouse on the 43rd floor was. She went to Pearl's on Nostrand. She sat in the back booth, the same booth. She put the camera on the table in front of her. She put the note beside it. She ordered a coffee. Her hands were shaking. She opened her phone. She opened the thread. She wrote, "I need to talk to you." The dots appeared almost instantly, like he had been waiting. Where? Pearl's. The same booth, 20 minutes. He was there in 17. He walked in the same way he had walked out the day before. Quiet, economical, no wasted motion. He had the same charcoal coat, the same pale eyes. Pearl, at the register, looked up and looked at him and looked at Lena and said nothing at all. She just quietly got up and went into the kitchen and stayed there. He slid into the booth across from Lena. He did not say hello. He waited. "What did you do to Marcus?" Lena said. "I did not hurt him." "What did you do to Marcus?" "I sent him to Arizona." "Why?" He looked at her for a long time. He did not answer immediately. She had the sense, watching him, that he was not calculating what to say. He was deciding whether to tell her the truth. He decided. "Miss Carter," he said, "for 7 months your ex-boyfriend had a surveillance application on your phone. He read every message you sent and received. He tracked your location. He listened to your calls. He did it because he was in debt to a man named Dmitry Kuznetsov for $86,000. and Mr. Kuznetsov told him to, in case you one day contacted the wrong person. The night before last, you contacted the wrong person. Mr. Delaney saw it. Mr. Kuznetsov was going to hear about it. I made an intervention." Lena stared at him. "An intervention," she said. "Yes." What does that mean? What does that mean? What did you—" "I spoke with Mr. Delaney. I made certain he understood he was to leave town, stay gone, and not contact you again. I paid his debt. His debt is now discharged. Mr. Kuznetsov will be told today that you are not a topic he is allowed to discuss. You paid 86. Yes." Lena put both hands flat on the table. She was trying to stop them from shaking. It was not working. "He was spying on me," she said. Her voice came out thin. "Yes. For 7 months. Yes. He read everything. My conversations with my mother. Yes. Oh God. Miss Carter. Oh God. Miss Carter. Don't call me that." "Lena." She looked up at him. His pale eyes were level on hers. "Lena," he said more quietly, "you are angry, and you are frightened, and you have every right to be both. You have been, for 7 months, in a position you did not know you were in. You are out of that position now. He is gone. He cannot watch you anymore. He cannot come near you anymore. You are not in danger from him. And from you." The words came out before she could stop them. He did not answer right away. He looked at her. He looked down at his own folded hands. When he looked back up, something in his face had moved. Not much, just a little. "Lena," he said, "I am a dangerous man." She said nothing. "I'm going to say that to you again because it is the truest thing I have said to anyone in a long time. I am a dangerous man. I am not dangerous to you. I will never be dangerous to you. But I am a dangerous man, and if you are in my life, you are near dangerous things, and that is a truth I cannot take away. I can only tell it to you." "Why did you buy me a camera?" "Because you used to be a photographer. Because you stopped. Because a man who loved you the way he was supposed to would have noticed. Because I noticed." "You don't know me." "No." "Then why do you care?" He was quiet for a long time. "I don't know," he said finally. "I do not have a good answer to that. I have never had a good answer to it. I noticed you at 2:47 in the morning, and I have not stopped noticing you, and that is all I can tell you that is true." Lena looked down at the camera on the table between them. She looked at the note. She looked back up at him. "I should run from you," she said. "Yes. I should take this camera and go back to my apartment and block your number and move to, I don't know, Connecticut, Ohio. I should call my mother. I should go home." "You should. You would let me. I would help you. I would put you in a car tonight." "Why?" "Because if running from me is what you need, then running from me is what you will do, and I will not make it harder than it already is." She stared at him. "Adrian," she said. "Adrian, I am so scared. I know. I don't know what I'm doing. I know that too. I don't know you." "No, you don't." She sat there for a long time. She did not touch her coffee. She looked at the camera on the table. She looked at his hand, the one with the scar across the knuckles. She looked out the window at Nostrand Avenue. A city bus went by. A woman with a stroller went by. A kid on a bike went by. "I'm not going to Connecticut," she said. He did not smile. He did not react at all, really. But something in the way he was sitting relaxed, very slightly, like a string going slack. "All right," he said. "I'm not running. All right? I'm keeping the camera." "Good. And I want to know everything. About you, about what you do, about who Dmitry Kuznetsov is, about what happens next. I don't want to be the stupid girlfriend in a movie who finds out in Act 3. I want to know now, tonight, before I go to sleep. Because if I don't know, I will lie awake thinking about it, and I am tired of lying awake." He looked at her for a long moment. "That is a lot to ask." "I know. Some of it you will not want to know. I know. Some of it you cannot unknow. I know." He nodded slowly. "All right," he said. "All right? Ask." She opened her mouth. She closed it. She laughed. A little. A shaky laugh. Because she had not actually thought he would say yes. "Not here," he said gently. "Tonight. 7. I will send a car. It will bring you to a place where we can talk without Pearl in the kitchen pretending not to listen." From the kitchen, Pearl, loudly, "I am not listening." Adrian almost smiled. It almost reached his eyes. Almost. 7, he said. 7. He stood. He left a 50 on the table. He looked down at her one more time. "Lena." "Yes." "Bring the camera." She watched him walk out. The little bell chimed over the door. The Mercedes was there again, idling at the curb. She watched it pull into traffic. She watched it go. Pearl came out of this kitchen. She sat down across from Lena. She looked at the 50. She looked at the Sony on the table. She looked at Lena's face. "Baby," Pearl said softly. "Baby, what are you doing?" "I don't know," Lena said. She was staring out the window at the place where the car had been. "I don't know, Pearl. I don't know." Outside, the sky over Brooklyn was going pale. It was the color of his eyes. Pearl reached across the table and, for the second day in a row, put a warm hand on the back of Lena's neck. This time, Lena did not cry. She felt something else. Something she hadn't felt in a long time. Something that sat underneath the fear and underneath the confusion and underneath everything else, small and stubborn and warm. She felt awake. The car came at 6:58. Lena was standing in the vestibule of her building, wearing the only dress she owned that did not have a stain on it. It was dark green, long-sleeved, and it had cost her $22 at a thrift store on Myrtle the year before last. She had her old leather bag over her shoulder, the Sony inside it, wrapped in a clean dish towel because she did not own a camera bag. Her coat was the Salvation Army one. She had brushed her hair and put on mascara, and then wiped the mascara off because she did not want him to think she had put on mascara for him, and then she had put it on again because she did not want to look like she hadn't tried. And then she had stood in the hall mirror and laughed at herself, a small, hard laugh. And she had told herself, "Lena Marie Carter, you are going to a meeting, not a date, a meeting, to ask a dangerous man about his life. This is not a moment for mascara." She had kept the mascara on anyway. The car was a different Mercedes this time, darker, lower, with a driver she didn't recognize. He got out and opened the door for her without a word. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Mr. Vale's residence, miss." "Is that... where is that?" "Manhattan." He did not elaborate. She got in. The door closed. The city slid away outside the window. The building he took her to did not have a name on it. It had a canopy and a doorman in a gray coat and a lobby that looked like the inside of a small, expensive museum. The doorman looked at her and nodded once, like he had been told to expect her and had been told not to ask questions. He walked her to an elevator she had not known was there, behind a panel she had not known opened, and he pressed 43 without asking. She rode up alone. The doors opened directly into his apartment, not into a hallway, into the apartment. There was no foyer, no place for a stranger to stand and wait. The elevator spilled you straight into the middle of the place like you had already been invited. The place was not what she had expected. She had expected marble. She had expected a chandelier. She had expected one of those glossy, lifeless penthouses you saw in real estate photos, furniture sitting around like it had never met anyone. What she got was a big, warm, slightly messy room with a long wall of windows looking out at the city and a low fire and a gas fireplace on the far wall. There were bookshelves. The bookshelves had actual books on them, and not in that pristine, color-coordinated way either. There were paperbacks with cracked spines and little yellow post-it flags sticking out of pages. There was a rug that had seen feet. There was a dog. A dog. An enormous gray dog lying in front of the fire with its chin on its paws, watching her come out of the elevator with mild interest. "His name is Casimir," Adrian said. He had come around from a galley kitchen off to the left, a glass in his hand. He was wearing a dark sweater and dark trousers and no shoes, just socks, which was somehow more startling to her than the dog. His hair was a little damp at the temples like he had just showered. He looked younger here, in his own place. "You have a dog," she said. "I have a dog. I don't know why I didn't expect that. He is not a guard dog. He He is an old, lazy, very spoiled borzoi who came with the apartment when I moved in. His previous owner died. His previous owner was a woman named Mrs. Ashford, and she left a note in a drawer asking whoever bought the place to please keep him. He was 11 then. He is 13 now. You bought an apartment with a dog. I bought a dog that came with an apartment. Casimir thumped his tail once, slowly, like it was a lot of work. Lena was going to cry, a little, and she was extremely annoyed with herself about it. She had come to this apartment spring-loaded. She had come ready for a man in a leather chair in a dark room with a glass of scotch, telling her terrible things. She had not come ready for a 13-year-old dog and socks and bookshelves with post-it flags. "May I take your coat?" Adrian said. Yeah, sure." She handed it to him. He hung it on a hook by the elevator. He did not make any kind of face at it, the cheap coat from the Salvation Army on Atlantic. He hung it the way he would have hung a coat that cost $4,000. "Come sit," he said. "I made something to eat. I was not sure if you had eaten. I told the kitchen to send something simple. It is simple. It is pasta. It is only pasta. You have a kitchen. I have a building. The building has a kitchen. I called downstairs." "Oh, is that a problem?" No, you really do live up here, don't you?" He looked at her for a second, and then, very briefly, he smiled. It was a real smile this time. It was small and a little crooked, and it did reach his eyes, and it changed his whole face in a way she was not prepared for. "Yes, Miss Carter," he said. "I really do live up here." Lena, "I really do live up here." He led her to a round table near the windows. The pasta was in a big white bowl in the middle, with steam coming off it. There was bread. There was a green salad. There was a bottle of red wine already open and breathing. "Sit down," he said. "I will answer your questions, all of them, but I have one rule for tonight." "What?" "Eat while you ask. You are too thin." "Excuse me?" "You are too thin, and your hands were shaking at pearls this afternoon, and I do not think that was only fear. When did you last eat a meal that was not a piece of toast at the diner?" I had a bowl of ramen." "When?" "Last night." "Eat, Lena. I am not going to ask you that again tonight. I do not like asking women about their eating. It is none of my business, and I do not intend to make it a habit, but tonight you are in my home, and tonight you are going to eat." She sat down. He poured her wine. She let him. He served her pasta. She let him do that too. He did it like a man who had served meals a lot in his life, briskly, without ceremony. The pasta was good. It was excellent, actually. A simple thing with garlic and oil and red pepper flakes, and she took one bite and realized how hungry she had been. She tore a piece of bread in half. She ate the bread. Adrian sat across from her. He did not eat much. He drank his wine slowly. He waited. "All right," she said. "Where do I start?" "Wherever you want. Who are you?" "My name is Adrian Vale. My father was Maxime Vale. He was born in Odessa. He came to New York in 1984. He started with nothing. He ended with a great deal. He was killed in the kitchen of our apartment in Brighton Beach on a Tuesday morning in the year I was 9 years old. I watched him die. I was sitting at the table eating a piece of buttered bread. He was drinking tea. 2 men came in through the back door. They shot him 4 times. They did not see me. I was under the table by the 3rd shot." He said all of this in a voice you might use to read a bus schedule. Lena set her fork down. "Adrian, you asked." I'm sorry. It was a long time ago." "That doesn't—" "No," he agreed. "It doesn't." He turned his wine glass between his fingers. "After my father was killed, my mother took me back to Odessa. We were there for 4 years. My father's brother was there. His name was Yuri. He was a hard man. He was also, in his way, a very tender man. He raised me. He taught me what my father would have taught me, which was a great deal of it you will not want to hear, and also some things you might, how to cook, how to read books, how to play chess. He sent me back to New York when I was 14. He sent me to a boarding school in Connecticut. He paid for it with money that I did not know the origin of until later. I stayed in that school for 4 years, and then I went to Columbia for 2 years, and then I left Columbia and I went home. Home to where? Home to what my father had left behind. Which was what? He looked at her. Lena, he said, I sell things that people in this city would prefer not to be for sale. She stared at him. Drugs, she said. Some drugs, not all drugs. There are drugs I do not touch. Heroin I do not touch. Fentanyl I do not touch. Anything that kills teenagers I do not touch. I have rules. I did not start out with rules. I have them now. What else? Weapons sometimes. Never to gangs. Never to anyone who I know is going to kill someone in Brooklyn on Tuesday. Mostly to people overseas. Mostly to governments, in fact, though governments is a loose word. Information. Information is the largest part of what I do now. I know a great many things about a great many people, and people who need to know those things. I sell to. I do not blackmail. That is another rule. I sell. And people are afraid of you. Yes. Why? He paused. Because I have killed people, Lena. She felt her mouth go dry. How many? She said. I am not going to tell you that. Why not? Because you would never again look at me the way you are looking at me right now, and I am being selfish, and I am not ready to lose it yet. I will tell you this. Every single one of them was a person who was trying to kill someone who worked for me, or was someone who had already killed someone who worked for me, or me. I do not kill civilians. I do not kill family members. I do not kill witnesses. When the men who killed my father came for him, my mother was in the next room and I was under the table, and they left us alive because our lives were not worth the effort. That is the only thing those men ever did that I have tried, in my life, to imitate. Lena picked up her wine glass. She drank half of it in one long swallow. Okay, she said. Okay? Keep going. Tell me the rest. Tell me about Dmitry Kuznetsov. Tell me what happens next. Tell me what last night was. Tell me what I'm in the middle of. All right. He refilled her glass. He did not refill his own. Dmitry Kuznetsov, he said, is a man who has been in my life for 11 years. He is also from Odessa, originally, though he came up through a different part of it. He is older than I am by 12 years. When my uncle Yuri sent me back to New York, Dmitry had been running a piece of the work my father used to run, out of Staten Island. He had taken it the way men take these things, slowly, while everyone else was looking elsewhere. When I came back, he did not return it. I did not ask him to. I had my own pieces to build. But we have been, since then, 2 men in one city, and that is a thing that always ends one of 3 ways. It ends in a partnership, it ends in a war, or it ends in an understanding. But which one have you had? An understanding, mostly. We do not do business together. We do not do business against each other. When one of us moves into territory the other has been in, we talk before we move, and we talk honestly. I do not like him. He does not like me. But we have not, in 11 years, actively tried to kill each other, and that is more than most men in our line can say. Then why did he put a spy app on my phone? Because he has been looking for a crack in me for a very long time. In you. In me. I am more careful than he is, Lena. I am younger, and I am quieter, and I make more money than he does, and I make it with cleaner people. And this has not sat well with him for a while. He has been looking for a way to move against me without moving against me. A leverage. Something he can hold. Something like a girlfriend. Something like a girlfriend. I wasn't your girlfriend. No, you weren't. You weren't anything to me yet. But you had by accident become a line on a long line he had been trailing in the water. You texted me. He saw, through your ex-boyfriend's surveillance, that you had texted me. You became, for one night, the most interesting thing he had seen in 5 years. And now I have paid the debt. I have taken his asset. I have told him, indirectly, that you are no longer a topic. That is as far as we can go without a confrontation. He has received the message. But, Adrian set his glass down. But Dmitry Kuznetsov is a proud man, and I have just made him look foolish, and a proud man who has been made foolish does not usually stay quiet. So what does he do? I don't know yet. He will do something he will need to, probably not for weeks, maybe months. He will want to be seen to have recovered face. He will watch you. He will watch me. He will wait. He will look for a moment when you are alone, or when I am distracted, or when the two of us can be put in a room in a way that is useful to him. And in the meantime, you are watched. By me. By people who work for me. You are not watched the way he watched you. You are watched the way a thing that is precious is watched. You will not see them. You will not feel them. But you will not be alone walking home from the diner at midnight. That is not negotiable, Lena. I'm telling you this as a fact, not as a request. Adrian. Yes. I didn't ask for this. I know. I was getting a coffee with you 12 hours ago. I know. You have... Her voice went a little high. You have turned my life into... I don't know. I don't know what this is. I don't know what I am in. I don't know what I am into, Adrian. I don't even know what you want from me. I don't know if you want... I don't know what this is. Lena. Don't Lena me. All right? He stood up. He walked around the table. He did not sit next to her. He sat on the rug near the fire, one leg folded under him, his forearm resting on his knee. Casimir the Borzoi shifted and put his enormous gray head on Adrian's thigh without opening his eyes. Adrian put his hand on the dog's head and left it there. I'm going to tell you something, he said. And then, if you want to get up and get in the elevator and go home, I will take you home myself. I will not send a car. I will take you. Okay? I do not want a thing from you. I want you to be safe. That is the first and the largest thing. I did not do what I did last night to earn anything. I did it because if I had done nothing, a man who watches you was going to call Dmitry Kuznetsov and tell him your name, and 48 hours from now you would be in a room I could not get you out of. That is the truth. Everything else is secondary to that truth. Okay, beyond that, since you have asked, I think you are the most interesting person I have met in 16 years, Lena. I've met a lot of people in 16 years. Most of them are pretending. You were not pretending at 2:47 yesterday morning. You were not pretending at Pearl's this afternoon. You were angry and scared and you were saying true things. And I've almost forgotten what that looks like. I'm a man who lives inside a very small and very careful room. And you are someone who has no idea how to live inside a room like that. And that is something I did not know I had been missing. She was crying now. A little, quietly. She did not try to hide it. Okay, she said. I am not going to touch you tonight. I am not going to touch you for a long time, probably, and I may never touch you at all because you may decide after tonight that I am a man you do not want in your life, and that will be the right decision, and I will respect it. But I'm telling you this so that you can make the decision with all the information. That is what you asked for. That is what you get. Adrian, yes. I'm not leaving. All right. But I don't know what I am. Yet. I'm not your girlfriend. I'm not your, whatever the word is. I'm not a mistress. I'm not I don't know. I'm not those things. No, I'm a woman who works at a diner, who you sent a camera to, who is sitting on your floor, in a chair, in your apartment. And I am trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life, Adrian. I'm trying, and I don't want to, Lena. What? You can just be a woman. You can just be Lena Carter. You can work at the diner. You can keep the camera. You can take photographs. You can send me a text when you feel like it. You can not send me a text when you don't. You can be what you are. I'm not here to make you into something. You sent a man to Arizona. Yes. You paid someone $86,000. Yes. You have a dog. He almost laughed. I have a dog. Adrian. Yes. I don't know what to do with any of this. I know. You do not have to know tonight. She sat there at the table. She looked at him on the rug by the fire with the big gray dog's head on his leg. She looked at the fire. She looked at the windows, at the city out there, the lights, millions of them. She picked up her fork. She ate another bite of pasta. This is really good, she said. Thank you. I mean it. This is the best food I've had in, I don't know, months, years. I don't know. I will tell the kitchen. Tell them I said thank you. I will. She ate quietly for a minute. The fire popped. The dog sighed in his sleep. Adrian, she said. Yes. The camera. Yes. Did you, do you know anything about cameras? Not really. Then how did you pick it? I went to a store. I told them what you used to shoot. They told me what you would be shooting on now if the last 4 years of your life had gone differently. I bought the one they suggested. How did you know what I used to shoot? He was quiet. I asked your mother, he said. Lena dropped the fork. You did what? I had a very polite conversation through intermediaries with Mrs. Kathleen Carter of Akron, Ohio, under a pretext. A woman called her at the dentist's office at 10 this morning and said she was a booker for a wedding magazine and had heard Mrs. Carter's daughter used to be a photographer and was trying to find a portfolio. Your mother said you used to shoot black and white film on a Canon AE, one your father gave you before he died, and then you switched to digital with a Canon Rebel, and then you stopped. The woman thanked her and hung up. Your mother is fine. She does not know she spoke to anyone connected to me. She will not be contacted again. Adrian, I am telling you because I said I would tell you everything tonight. You are a lot. Yes. You are. You cannot just, I know. You cannot just call my mother. I did not call your mother. Someone who works for you. Yes. It's the same thing. Yes. Don't do that again. I mean it, Adrian. Don't. Don't do a charming criminal thing where you say yes and then do it again in a week. If you want to know something about me, ask me. Even if it's weird. Even if you think I'll say no. Ask me. I am not a file you are building. He looked at her for a long moment. All right, he said. I am sorry. That was a mistake. I will not do it again. Okay. I will not have you followed either without telling you. I will have people near you. I will not have them follow you. You will know who they are. I will tell you their names. If you do not want them, we will talk about that. And I will try to find a compromise that keeps you alive and also does not feel like a cage. Good. Good. The room was quiet for a little while. Outside the windows, a plane was drawing a slow white line across the black sky, heading for LaGuardia. Can I ask you something stupid? Lena said. Always. Why do you wear socks? I'm sorry? Why are you not... Why? You live in this apartment. You own this building. You have a fireplace. You have a dog named Casimir. You run. Whatever you run. You are the scariest man anyone on that Reddit thread has ever heard of. And you open the door in socks. Regular socks. Like a guy. Like a normal... I am a guy, Lena. You know what I mean. He did smile then, a full one, a short laugh with it. Because my feet are tired, he said. Because I wore shoes for 11 hours today. Because this is my home. What else would I wear? I don't know. I thought you would have silk slippers or something. Lena, I am not a 19th century count. I don't know what you are. Most days, neither do I. They looked at each other across the fire. Casimir snored. After a minute, she stood up. She brought her plate over. She sat down on the rug on the other side of the dog. She did not sit close to Adrian. There was the big, warm, sleeping animal between them. It felt like the safest geography she could think of. She put her plate on the floor and picked at the pasta with her fingers, not because she was still hungry, but because she needed something to do with her hands. Tell me one true thing, she said. Pick the category. Something you like. Something that has nothing to do with any of this. Something ordinary. He thought about it, actually thought. She could see him doing it. I make coffee badly, he said, on purpose. What does that mean? I mean, I make it too strong. I make it the way my Uncle Yuri made it in Odessa when I was 10. Grounds in a small pot. Water. A pinch of salt. It is terrible. I like it. A pinch of salt? Try it before you judge. I will absolutely not try it. That sounds like a hate crime. Lena Carter, at some point in your life, you are going to try it, and you are going to say, Adrian was right. I will not say that. You will. I will die first. He laughed. It was the first real laugh she had heard out of him. It was a surprisingly young laugh, considering the rest of him. She watched him laugh, and she thought, with a kind of clarity that was more sobering than the wine, oh no, Oh no, Lena. Oh no. It was almost 11 when the car took her home. He did not come down with her. He said goodbye at the elevator, at the inside of the elevator, stepping back as the doors closed. Casimir saw her off with one slow thump of his tail. She did not cry on the ride down. She looked at her own reflection in the polished metal of the elevator wall, and her face looked the same as it had on the way up. She could not believe it looked the same. The car was waiting in the garage. The driver this time was the older man from the day before, the one with the face like a fist and the kind eyes. "Good evening, Miss Carter." "Good evening." She sat in the back. They pulled out onto a street she could not identify in the dark. After a minute, he said without turning his head, "Miss Carter, if it is all right, my name is Emile. Mr. Vale said you would want to know who I was." "Emile." "Yes. Yes. Thank you, Emile. I wanted to know. I have been with Mr. Vale a long time, miss." "How long?" "Since before he was Mr. Vale." She looked at the back of his head. "Emile. Miss. Is he... I don't know how to ask this." "Ask." Is he who he said he was? Tonight. To me." Emile was quiet for a long time. He drove carefully. He was a very careful driver, she noticed. He took turns like he was afraid of spilling something. "Miss Carter," he said, "Mr. Vale tonight was a man I have not seen in 12 years. "What? What do you mean?" "I mean, tonight I heard him laugh." She did not answer. She looked out the window. The Brooklyn Bridge was sliding past. The water was black. The lights on it were like a long yellow necklace somebody had dropped. When they got to her building, Emile got out and opened her door. He walked her to the stoop. He waited until she was inside, and then he waited until the light came on in her window on the 4th floor, and then he got back in the car and drove away. Lena stood in the middle of her studio apartment. She looked at her bed. She looked at the cracked full-length mirror. She looked at the water stain on the ceiling shaped like Florida. She took the Sony out of her bag. She set it on the table. She plugged her phone into the wall to charge. She sat on the edge of the bed. She took off the green dress. She put on an old t-shirt and sweatpants. She went to the sink and drank a glass of water. She washed the mascara off her face. She looked at herself in the mirror over the sink. "You're in so much trouble," she told her reflection. "You're in so much trouble, Lena Carter." She went to bed. She did not sleep for a long time. When she finally did, she dreamed of a gray dog with its head on her lap and a fire burning and someone she couldn't see putting a coat around her shoulders in the cold. The photograph job came 2 weeks later. Lena had almost convinced herself by then that the apartment on the 43rd floor had been something she'd dreamed. Adrian had texted her twice in the intervening 14 days. Once, on the Saturday after their dinner, he had sent, "Are you using the camera?" She had written back, "A little." He had written back, "Good. That is enough for today." That was it. The second time was a week after that. "I will not be in the country for 6 days. I wanted you to know, in case you tried to reach me and I did not answer." She had written back, feeling like an idiot, "Okay, safe travels." And then, 20 minutes later, because she couldn't help herself, "Safe travels? Is that what you say to... What do I say to someone like you?" And he had written back, and she could practically hear the amusement in it. "Safe travels is perfect, Lena. Thank you." She had picked up the camera in those 2 weeks. Not a lot. She had shot some things on her walk to work. The back of a kid's jean jacket with a hand-sewn patch on it, the way the morning light came through the grate in front of the bodega on Rogers. Diane, behind the register, caught laughing at something Rico had said. She had looked at the photographs on the little screen and had felt, for the first time in a year, something that was not exactly happy, but was warm. It was the feeling of a muscle remembering what it was for. Then on a Tuesday morning, the text came. "I have a work thing for you if you want it. A real job, paid. $2,000 for the afternoon. I need someone to photograph a room and the people in it. No one will know who you are. You will be introduced as a photographer hired by the host. You will not need to speak to anyone. You will not need to lie about anything. Your only job is to take pictures. You can say no." She read it 3 times. She wrote, "What kind of room?" "A room in a private club on the Upper East Side. There will be 8 men. I will be one of them. I need photographs of the others." Clear photographs, faces visible, from multiple angles. You will be there for approximately 90 minutes. Why? Because I will need to know later who was in that room. Because the men in that room will not want to be remembered as having been in that room. Because their discomfort with being photographed is a tool I am using to get what I want out of the meeting. Adrian. Yes. Are those men, are they going to be okay? They're not going to be hurt. They're going to sign a thing they do not want to sign. The photographs help with that. No one is going to die. No one is going to be arrested. No one is even going to be named later. The photographs are insurance. They will sit in a safe for the rest of their lives if things go well. And if they don't go well, then someone who is not me may see the photographs, and those men will have problems that are not my concern. But Lena, again, no one is going to be hurt. She sat at her kitchen table. The Sony was on the shelf. Her coffee was going cold. She thought about a lot of things. She thought about Marcus, 7 months, reading her messages to her mother. She thought about the fact that she had $400 overdue on her rent. She thought about the way Adrian had said, "You can say no." "Okay," she wrote. "I'll do it. Thank you." Tomorrow. 3 p.m. I will send a car. Wear something you are comfortable in. Black is fine. You do not need to dress up. You are a photographer. Photographers wear what they want. She started to put the phone down. It buzzed again. Lena. Yes. If at any point you are uncomfortable, you say so. You leave. The car is mine. The car will take you home. No one in that room outranks you. In that room, for this. You are in charge of the photographs. That is the deal. Okay. Good. The club was on East 63rd Street, behind a door that didn't have a number on it. The car dropped her at the curb. A man in a dark suit walked her in. He did not give his name. She did not ask. The interior of the club was the color of tobacco and old money. Dark wood, green lamps, carpets that absorbed every footstep. A woman at a front desk looked at her camera, looked at her, and said, "Mr. Vale's guest, 3rd floor, take the stairs on the left." Lena took the stairs. On the 3rd floor there was a private room. Heavy door. Inside, a long table. 8 chairs, 7 men. All of them older than Adrian, all of them wearing suits better than the suits Mr. Sloan had worn. All of them turned when she came in, and 7 faces registered her, and 7 faces did exactly the same thing in exactly the same moment. They went carefully, deliberately, blank. Adrian was standing by the window at the far end of the room. He was in one of his dark suits. He had a glass of water in his hand. He was not drinking it. "Gentlemen," he said, "this is my photographer, Miss Carter. She is going to be joining us for the next 90 minutes. She will be moving around the room. You will ignore her. Before we begin, I would like each of you to look directly at the camera for 1 moment so that she can take a portrait for my records." There was a silence. It was the silence of a room full of men who had come to a meeting expecting one thing and had been handed something else. One of them, a white-haired man at the far end, set down his wine glass. "Adrian," he said, "this was not in the agreement." "No," Adrian said mildly. "It was not. It is now. The photographs will not leave my possession unless an agreement we make here today is broken. I am sure none of you intend to break the agreement we are about to make, which means the photographs will not matter. Does anyone prefer to leave? The door is behind Miss Carter. I will not stop you. I will remember, of course, that you left. But the door is there." No one moved. "Miss Carter," Adrian said. He did not look at her. "Please." Lena lifted the camera. Her hands were absolutely steady. She was surprised by that. She had expected them to shake. They did not. Something in her had gone very calm. It was the calm she used to have when she was shooting, a long time ago, back before her life had gotten small. It was the calm of the work. The work did not care who these men were. The work only cared about the light and the angle and the focus. She walked the table. She took the portraits, one by one. Each man met her eye briefly and then looked away, and she thought, Oh, I see. You are not used to being looked at. You are used to doing the looking." She photographed every one of them. When she was done, she stepped back from the table. She nodded once to Adrian. He nodded back. "Thank you, gentlemen," he said. "Please, sit. We have a great deal to discuss." For the next 90 minutes, Lena Carter moved around a room on the Upper East Side in a private club with no number on the door, taking photographs of 7 powerful men signing a document she did not read and could not have read if she had tried. She took photographs of hands on the table. She took photographs of pens being passed. She took photographs of Adrian Vale in his dark suit, sitting at the head of the table, speaking quietly in a voice that never rose above a conversational level, a voice that those 7 men leaned in to hear. She took a photograph of his hands, folded, with the thin white scar across the knuckles of the right one. She did not know, when she took it, that she would keep that one. Not for him. For herself. When it was over, the men filed out. None of them looked at her. She had become to them something that did not exist in a room worth remembering. Adrian stood at the window until the door closed behind the last of them. Then he turned. Lena. Yes. Thank you. It's fine. It is not fine. It is the first work you have done in a long time, and I asked you to do it in a room with people who are not good, and you did it well and you did it steadily, and I want you to hear me say thank you. She looked at him. She was still holding the camera. Adrian. Yes. Am I in this now? He was quiet. Yes, he said. I am sorry, but yes. You are in it now. Okay. Do you want out? She thought about it. She thought about the cheap coat at the Salvation Army. She thought about the toothbrush in the trash. She thought about Marcus in the app for 7 months. She thought about her mother at the dentist's office in Akron, answering questions from a stranger about her daughter's camera. She thought about the feeling in her hands just now, walking around that table. No, she said. I don't want out. All right? But Adrian. Yes. I want more of this. Of what? Of the work. The work. The real work. Not just the men in the room, sure. I did it. I'd do it again, I guess. But I mean the work. I mean taking pictures, mine, my own. I want a studio. I want a real one. Not today, not tomorrow, someday. Not one you give me. One I make. He looked at her for a long moment. Then make one, he said. It's not that easy. Lena Carter, he said, and his mouth did that small crooked thing again. You accidentally texted a picture of yourself to the most dangerous man in New York, and you walked out of his apartment with a job and a dog's affection and half his attention. I think you can probably make a studio. She laughed. She couldn't help it. Outside the club, the March air was warming into April. She walked to the car with the Sony on her shoulder and $2,000 about to hit her account, and a strange, stubborn, growing thing in her chest that she did not have a word for yet. Behind her, in a room on the 3rd floor, Adrian Vale stood alone at the window and watched her get into the car. He watched until the car disappeared around the corner. Then he took his phone out of his pocket. He had a message. It was from a number he had not given out to anyone. The message said, in English, Mr. Vale, I hear you have a new photographer. Congratulations. She has beautiful eyes. DK. Adrian Vale looked at the message for a long time. He did not answer it. He put the phone in his pocket. He looked at his own face in the dark window glass. A man in a dark suit in a room that was suddenly too quiet. And he understood with a cold clarity that sat under his breastbone like a stone that the thing he had been afraid of had already started. It had started the moment he let her walk into that room. It had started, really, the moment he had decided not to delete her photograph at 2:47 in the morning. He closed his eyes. He breathed out. When he opened them again, he was once more the man everyone in that building was afraid of. He walked downstairs. He nodded to the woman at the desk. He stepped out into the evening. The car was waiting for him. He got in. Home, sir? No, Emile, not home. Drive. Just drive for a while. Yes, sir. They drove. The city went by. The city was the same city it had always been. Adrian Vale sat in the back seat and watched it through the window, and for the first time in his life, he was afraid. Not of dying, which he had stopped being afraid of a long time ago, but of something else. Something he did not yet have the language for. Something that was sitting at her kitchen table in Brooklyn right now, unpacking a Sony from a leather bag and laughing out loud in an empty apartment for no reason at all. Adrian did not tell her about the message. That was the first decision, and it was the one he would come back to later, in a different room on a different night, and hate himself for. He told himself at the time that it was the right decision. He told himself that Lena had been handed enough in 2 weeks to last a lifetime, that she needed a stretch of ordinary days, that Dmitry Kuznetsov had been making small moves for 11 years, and a text message was a small move, and that he, Adrian Vale, would handle it the way he handled everything, quietly, from a distance, with Victor at his elbow. What he did not admit to himself, not yet, was the second reason, which was that if he told her, she might leave, and he was not ready for that. He put the phone in his pocket, and he went home. The weeks after the meeting on East 63rd Street were, for Lena, the strangest kind of happy she had ever been. The kind of happy that kept looking over its shoulder. $2,000 hit her account on a Wednesday morning, and she paid Mike Mancuso the overdue $400 and then put $600 into the savings account that had been sitting at $42 since the last time Marcus had moved in. And then she took Diane out for dinner at a place on Bergen that had tablecloths. And Diane cried a little over the gnocchi and said, "Honey, are you okay? Are you really, really okay?" And Lena said, "I don't know, Diane. I don't know." And Diane said, "Well, that's the most honest answer I've gotten out of you in 6 months." She worked at Mickey's 4 days a week instead of 5. She spent the 5th day walking. Brooklyn, Queens, once all the way up to Inwood. She shot everything. An old man feeding pigeons from a paper bag on a bench in Flushing Meadows. A teenage girl leaning against a fence outside a school in Corona, her face turned away, a cigarette she was too young to be holding. The underside of a fire escape in Long Island City with the sun coming through it like slats on an old Venetian blind. She was not good again yet. That was the surprising part. She had thought that once she picked the camera back up, the muscle would come back in a day, and it did not. Her first 100 pictures were clumsy. Her next 100 were a little better. Somewhere in the second week, she took a photograph of a woman waiting at a bus stop on Atlantic Avenue in the rain, and she looked at it on the little screen and she said out loud to no one, oh, there you are." And she meant herself. She saw Adrian twice a week, maybe 3 times. Dinner at his apartment. Once a lunch at a restaurant in the Flatiron where the host acted like he had never seen a woman walk in with Adrian Vale in his life. Which, Lena realized later, he probably hadn't. They did not touch. Adrian had not been kidding about that. Twice he put his hand on the small of her back to guide her through a doorway, and both times she felt it for hours afterward, like someone had put a small warm coin against her spine. But he did not kiss her. He did not try. He watched her across dinner tables with a patience that was almost unnerving, the patience of a man who had decided, a long time ago, that he could wait as long as a thing needed him to wait. She started to understand slowly what his days were like. They were long. They were quiet. They were full of meetings in rooms without numbers on the doors. He was tired in a way that she didn't think even he knew the shape of. Most nights, when she left the apartment on the 43rd floor, Casimir would walk her to the elevator, and Adrian would stand in the doorway of the kitchen with a glass of water he hadn't drunk, and he would look at her the way a man in a desert looks at rain. He is not allowed to stand in. On a Thursday, in the middle of April, he asked her, "Do you want to meet my mother?" She almost dropped her wine glass. "Your what?" "My mother. She is in from Odessa. She comes twice a year. She is in town for 11 days. She is staying at the Pierre because she refuses to stay in this apartment. She says it feels like a bank. She is 71 years old and she is the only person in the world who is not afraid of me. And she has heard that there is a woman I am having dinner with, and she has asked to meet you. You do not have to say yes." "Adrian, you do not have to say yes. I'm a waitress from Ohio. You are a photographer from New York. And she was a fisherman's daughter from a town in Ukraine, so small it does not have a name anymore. She will like you more than she likes me. She likes everyone more than she likes me. She says it is because I am too quiet." "You are too quiet." "Yes, she is right." Lena laughed. She laughed a lot these days when she was with him. It was a thing she was noticing. "Okay," she said. "Okay, I'll meet your mother. Oh God, what do I wear?" "Whatever you want. She will be in a cardigan. She is always in a cardigan. She has 3 cardigans. They all look the same. She will ask you if you have eaten. Eat beforehand anyway. She will feed you again." "Adrian?" "Yes." Are you nervous?" He looked at her for a second. "A little," he admitted. You are not. I am. It is an unfamiliar feeling. I don't recommend it. They went to the Pierre the next afternoon. Anna Vale was exactly as he had described her. A small woman in a gray cardigan, her white hair pinned back with two plain clips, her eyes the same pale gray as her son's but softer, warmer, a sky that had seen more weather. She was sitting in the lounge drinking tea. When Adrian walked in, she stood. When Lena walked in behind him, she put both hands on Lena's face, without warning, and looked at her for a long moment. "Хорошо," she said. Then, in English, her accent thick. "Good, you're good. Come, sit." She sent Adrian for more tea. He went. Anna Vale waited until he was out of earshot, then leaned across the little table and took Lena's hands in her own. Her hands were small and dry, and surprisingly strong. "Lena, you are Lena." "Yes, ma'am." "Ma'am. Huh. You sound like American movie, Anna. You call me Anna." "Anna." "Lena, I'm going to tell you one thing only. Then we have tea. Okay. My son is a hard man. He was hard boy. He had to be. This you know, yes? I can see. He told you things. Good. He does not tell anyone things. He tells you things. This is serious. Listen. When he was 9, his father died. He was boy. He became not boy. Very fast. All at once. Like lamp, click. I could not stop it. I tried. I could not. When he was 14, I sent him back. I sent him back because in Odessa there was no life for him, only more of what killed his father. In America was school, was books, was chance. He went. He was good boy. He was good boy in the school. Then he came home. Then he was not boy. Then he was his father again. This I could also not stop. I'm sorry, Anna. No sorry. Listen, my son is not bad man. He is hard man, but he is not bad man. His difference. You understand? I think so. He does not laugh. Since he was 9, he does not laugh. Not really. Smile, yes. Laugh, no. Adrian Vale does not laugh. Anna's grip tightened on Lena's hands. Her eyes were very steady. 2 weeks ago, she said, my son calls me. Sunday morning. Odessa time, I am at church. He calls, I call back. We talk. He tells me, small things. Weather, dog. Book he is reading. Then I make joke. Old joke. Stupid joke. About his father. His father, he could not boil water, could not boil egg. I made joke. And Lena, Adrian laughed. On the telephone, he laughed. My son laughed. I stood in the street outside church and I cried, Lena, because I have not heard that sound in, I do not remember how long. Lena's eyes filled. Anna, I do not know you. I am meeting you today. Maybe you are good woman, maybe bad woman, I do not know. But my son laughed. So, I come to America, I come to meet you. I want to see with my eyes the person who made my son laugh. She let go of Lena's hands. She patted them, twice. We have tea now, she said. Adrian came back to the table with a pot and 3 cups and a plate of little biscuits. And he sat down and he looked at the 2 women across from him and he said, very carefully, what did I miss? Nothing, Anna said. Nothing, Lena said. Anna poured the tea. They spent 2 hours with her. Anna Vale talked about the apartment in Odessa, about Adrian when he was small, about a fish her late husband once caught that was, she swore, as long as her arm. She told Lena 3 times she was too thin. She told her once that she had beautiful hair. She asked Lena what her mother did for a living, and Lena said, she works at a dentist's office in Ohio. And Anna nodded, like this was a good and correct thing to do. When it was time to go, Anna stood up and pulled Lena into a hug that smelled like lavender soap and very strong tea. Into Lena's ear, quietly, in English too soft for Adrian to catch, she said, he does not deserve you. He knows. Be patient with him anyway. Lena could not answer. She nodded into the old woman's shoulder. Anna kissed her son on both cheeks. She held his face between her hands. She said something to him in Russian. Adrian closed his eyes when she said it. He did not answer. In the elevator going down, Lena said, "What did she say to you?" "She told me not to mess it up." "Oh." "She used a shorter word than mess." Lena laughed. He looked at her sideways, and he almost smiled, and then he did smile, and then, as the elevator opened into the lobby of the Pierre, he did something she was not expecting. He reached for her hand. He took it. He held it. He did not look at her while he did it, which somehow made it more than if he had. He walked her across the lobby with her hand in his and her whole body humming like a plucked wire, and when they got to the revolving door, he stopped. He turned. He looked at her. "Lena." "Yes. I would like to take you somewhere this weekend. Just us, out of the city. A house I have. Upstate. It is 2 hours. We leave Saturday morning. We come back Sunday night. Separate rooms. I am not asking you for anything. I would like you to see it. I would like to cook you a meal in a kitchen that is mine. I would like to see what it looks like when you are in a room that has a view of trees instead of a city." "Okay. Okay? Okay, yes, okay. All right." He held the door for her. They walked out into the afternoon. Fifth Avenue was full of tourists and pigeons and the first real warmth of spring. She felt like a person who had been handed a fragile cup and told to carry it across a long room without spilling it. She was, in that moment, the happiest she could remember being in her adult life. Marcus Delaney did not stay in Tucson. He lasted 11 days at his cousin's house, drinking beer in the backyard and watching basketball, and trying very hard not to think about what had happened to him in a conference room on the 38th floor of a building in Manhattan. On the 12th day, he walked to a 7-Eleven, bought a burner phone, and sat in the parking lot in the dry Arizona heat and called Dmitry Kuznetsov. Dmitry picked up on the second ring. "Marcus." "Dmitry, you are not in New York." "No?" "Mr. Vale explained the rules to you." "Yes." "You are breaking them." "I know." Dmitry was quiet. Marcus could hear him breathing. He could also hear in the background the faint sound of a woman singing in another room and a kettle whistling. "Why are you calling, Marcus?" "Because he made me look like nothing, Dmitry." "You are nothing." "I know." "Then why call?" "Because you hate him too, and you have more reasons than I do." Dmitry laughed. It was not a nice laugh. "Marcus," he said. "Marcus, Marcus, you are like a child. You are a child who has broken his toy, and now he wants another child to come and break the other child's toy. This is not how men do things." "She's with him." "I know she is with him." "She is in his apartment, Dmitry. She was there 2 nights ago. She was there last week. She photographs things for him now. She is becoming something to him." "Yes. You could, if I told you things about her. Habits, her mother in Ohio, the route she takes to her diner, the diner itself. If I told you, you could—" "Marcus." "Yes. I have already had men watching her for 3 weeks." "Oh, but this is useful information. The mother in Ohio, I did not know about, not yet. Give me everything, Marcus, everything you have. And then, Marcus, listen to me very carefully, because I am going to tell you something important. You're going to hang up this phone, and you're going to smash it, and you're going to go back to your cousins, and you are going to stay there for the rest of your small and pointless life. Because if Mr. Vale ever finds out you called me, neither of us will be able to save you, and I will not try. Do you understand?" "Yes." "Good. Tell me everything." Marcus Delaney sat in the parking lot of a 7-Eleven in Tucson and told Dmitry Kuznetsov every small and private thing he knew about Lena Carter. He told him about her mother's name and workplace. He told him about the diner and the landlord. He told him that she kept her apartment keys in the left pocket of her coat and that she always walked home from the Q train on the same side of the street because she had been followed once, years ago, on the other side. He told him that she was scared of heights and that she had never been out of the country, and that she loved her mother and was terrified of disappointing her, and that if someone wanted to move her, all they had to do was tell her her mother was hurt, because she would get on a plane without packing. When he was done, he hung up. He smashed the phone under his heel. He threw the pieces in a dumpster behind the 7-Eleven. He walked back to his cousin's house, and he drank 4 beers in a row, and he did not look at himself in the bathroom mirror for the rest of the day. In Staten Island, in a house that looked like any other house, in a kitchen with a woman singing softly in another room and a kettle coming off the stove. Dmitry Kuznetsov wrote down everything Marcus Delaney had told him, and he circled the words mother in Akron, and he smiled. He picked up a different phone. He made a different call. Boterchkwad. Saturday morning came. The car came for Lena at 9. Adrian was in the back seat this time. He was wearing jeans. She had not known, until that moment, that Adrian Vale owned jeans. You own jeans, she said, getting in. I own 2 pairs of jeans. This is a lie. I own 3 pairs of jeans. One is aspirational. I have never worn them. Adrian. What? Adrian, you are funny. No. You are. You are funny and you have been hiding it. This is a character flaw. I have many character flaws, Lena. I am adding this to the list. She was laughing. She had been laughing a lot, since the Pierre. Something in her had come loose there, something in her mother's voice, in his mother's voice, saying, be patient with him anyway. She was, she realized, not afraid today. It was the first day in 3 weeks she had gotten into one of his cars and not felt a little slick of dread under her tongue. They drove north out of the city. They crossed the Tappan Zee. The river was very wide and very blue under them. Lena pressed her face to the window like a kid. He watched her with his mouth doing something that was almost a smile. The house was off a road she would not have been able to find again. It was stone, low, old, half covered in ivy. There was a long gravel driveway with birch trees on either side. There was a lake at the back, small, private, absolutely still in the April morning. There was a porch with 2 rocking chairs. There was a garden. She got out of the car and she stood in the driveway and she said, Adrian, it was my father's. She turned to him. My father bought this house in 1986. He did not come here often. He did not come here enough. He was going to retire to it. He did not live long enough to retire to anything. My uncle kept it after he died. Paid the taxes, paid someone to come in 4 times a year and air it out. When my uncle died, he left it to me. It has been mine for 9 years. I come 2-3 times a year. No one else comes here. No one who works for me knows it exists. Not Victor, not Emil, not anyone. It is not on any piece of paper that has my current name on it. You brought me here. Yes. Adrian. I have not brought anyone here, Lena. Not once in 9 years. She looked at the house. She looked at him. She did not know what to say. She did not say anything. She walked up the porch steps and she opened the front door, which was not locked, and she walked into a house that smelled like cold stone and old wood, and very faintly like wood smoke from some long-ago fire. And she started to cry, silently, without drama, the way you cry at an unexpected kindness. He came up behind her. He did not touch her. He stood in the doorway and looked at her back. Lena, I'm okay. Are you? I'm okay. I haven't been somewhere quiet in a long time. I forgot what quiet sounded like. Take the house. Walk around. Pick a room. I will make lunch. She walked through it. 3 bedrooms upstairs, all small, all with iron beds and old quilts. A kitchen with a stone floor and a gas stove. A living room with a stone fireplace and 2 deep couches. A small library off the living room, which was really just a room with bookshelves on every wall and 1 leather chair in the middle of it. She stood in the library for a long time. The books were all kinds. Russian novels, American ones, poetry in 3 languages, a book on beekeeping, a book on astronomy, a book on the history of Brooklyn, which she took down and held for a minute before she put it back. Downstairs in the kitchen, she found him standing in front of the stove with a wooden spoon in his hand. He had put on an apron, a regular, ordinary blue and white striped apron. She laughed out loud. What? He said. You have an apron. Lena, I know how to cook. I have cooked since I was 10 years old. I'm going to cook for you. I cannot do this in a $2,000 shirt. I have an apron. Go sit. Drink this wine. Stop laughing. I'm never going to stop laughing. Lena, I am never... Sit. She sat. He cooked. He made a stew slowly, the kind of stew that takes a long time and does not hurry. He cut vegetables with the focused attention of a man who had been doing this task his whole life and still respected it. She watched him, and she drank her wine. And for an hour and a half, she did not think about anything that was outside that kitchen. She did not think about Kuznetsov. She did not think about Marcus. She did not think about Mickey's or the rent or her mother or anything at all. She thought about the way the light came through the kitchen window and landed on the back of his hands. She thought about how she would like to photograph it. She did not photograph it. That felt like the wrong thing to do. This was not a moment for a camera. This was a moment for watching. They ate in the kitchen. It was 3 in the afternoon by then. The stew was better than the pasta had been. She told him so. He looked pleased in the quiet, almost embarrassed way he did everything. After lunch, they walked down to the lake. He did not take her hand, but they walked close enough that their arms brushed twice. At the water, he stopped. He bent down, picked up a flat stone, and skipped it across the surface in 4 neat bounces. "Show off," she said. "Try." "I can't." "Try anyway." She tried. Her stone went straight down and sank. Again. "Adrian." Again. She tried 7 more times. On the 8th try, her stone skipped twice and died. "See," he said, "you're a patient teacher. I have never taught anyone anything. Lies. The truth. What else have you never done?" He looked at the water. "A lot of things," he said. "Like what?" "Like this." She turned to him. He was not looking at her. He was looking at the lake. "I have never stood on the edge of a lake with a woman in my life. I have never had lunch in that kitchen with another person. I have never had anyone but me and a dead dog named Laika, the dog before Casimir, sit on that porch. I have never said aloud to another person that my father was a man who was supposed to retire and never got to. I have never told anyone about the hour it took me to decide at 14 whether to get on the plane to New York or to run away from my uncle's house instead. I have never, Lena, I have never." He stopped. He was looking at the water very hard. "I'm 34 years old," he said, "and I'm discovering this month that I have never." Lena was crying again. She didn't even try to stop it. "Adrian." "Yes." "Look at me." He turned. She stepped into him, and she put her hands on either side of his face, the way his mother had done with her face at the Pierre, and she kissed him. It was not a big kiss. It was not a movie kiss. It was a quiet, short, almost careful kiss. The way you kiss someone the first time when you know, the way you know, that this is the kiss you are going to remember. His hands came up slowly and settled on her waist, light, not pulling her in, just holding her there, as if he needed to confirm that she was in fact there. When she pulled back, his eyes were closed. He kept them closed for a second. When he opened them, they were wet. "Lena." "Yes." "I don't know how to do this." "I know. I'm going to be bad at it." "I know." "I will. I will probably hurt you. Not on purpose, but I will." "I know, Adrian. You do not know." "I know enough." He put his forehead against hers. They stood at the edge of the lake like that for a long time, while the wind moved through the birches and the afternoon turned very slowly into evening. They did not sleep together that night. That was not what the house was for. He made her a fire in the big stone fireplace, and she sat on the couch with a blanket across her legs, and he sat on the other end and read to her, out loud, from a book of Polish poetry in translation. He had a better reading voice than she had expected, low, slow. He did not dramatize. He just read, the way her father had read to her when she was small, before he got sick. She fell asleep on the couch around 11. He put a blanket over her and turned off the lamp and went upstairs alone. She woke up once in the night, at about 3, and the fire was down to embers, and he had left a glass of water on the low table beside her, and she drank half of it and went back to sleep and did not dream. On Sunday afternoon, they drove back to the city. They were on the Tappan Zee when his phone rang. He looked at it. His face changed. "Emil." He answered. Lena was looking out the window at the river. She heard him say, "When?" She heard him say, "Where is she now?" She heard him say, "Get on a plane. Tonight. Both of you." She heard him say, "No, she does not know yet. I will tell her." He hung up. He put the phone down. He did not look at her. "Adrian?" "Lena." "What?" He breathed out very slowly. "Your mother," he said, "is in the hospital in Akron." She went absolutely still. "What?" "A car hit her in the parking lot of a grocery store this morning. She is alive. She is in stable condition. She has a broken leg and a concussion, and they are keeping her for observation. She's going to be fine. Oh my God. Oh my God, I have to, I have to go. I have to. Lena, listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. I have to go, Adrian. I have to. Lena. He turned in his seat. He took both her hands. His hands were warm and very steady, and hers were suddenly freezing. The car that hit your mother this morning did not stop. It has not been found. Your mother told the police it came up on her very fast and very deliberate, and that she had to jump out of the way or she would be dead. She is saying to the police, it was a drunk driver. I'm telling you, because I owe you this, that it was not a drunk driver. Adrian. It was Dmitry Kuznetsov. Oh God. Lena, your mother is safe. I have sent 2 of my people to the hospital. They will be there in 4 hours. They will sit outside her door. She is going to be fine. I have to go to her. Yes. I have to. Yes. We will put you on a plane tonight. Emil will go with you. You will be safe. Your mother will be safe. Do you understand me? Adrian, is she going to... She is going to be fine, Lena. I swear to you. She is going to be fine. Dmitry did not try to kill her. Dmitry tried to get your attention. He got it. That is all he wanted today. Why? Adrian did not answer for a long moment. Because he knows now that you matter to me, he said. And he is beginning the thing I was afraid of. She was on a plane 3 hours later. Emil sat in the seat next to her. He did not speak. He did not need to. He held the arm of her seat when the plane took off because she could not look out the window. In Akron, it was exactly as Adrian had said. Kathleen Carter was in a hospital bed with a cast on her left leg from ankle to hip, a bandage on her temple, and a great deal of Vicodin in her system. She saw Lena walk in, and she started crying, and Lena started crying, and for 20 minutes neither of them could say anything. 2 men in dark jackets were sitting in the hallway, drinking coffee out of paper cups and pretending to read newspapers. They nodded at Lena as she went past. She did not nod back. She did not know what to do with them yet. She spent 4 days in Akron. She slept in a cot in her mother's hospital room for 2 of them and at her mother's apartment for 2 more. She did not go back to Mickey's. Diane called her every day. Adrian called her every night at 9 for exactly 8 minutes. He did not say anything important. He asked about her mother. He asked if she was eating. He told her about Casimir. He told her once that the lake had frozen over again in a late spring cold snap, and he was going to drive up and check that the pipes had not burst. He was, she understood, trying to keep her in his voice. On the 5th day, her mother was released. Lena took her home. Diane flew out to help. Diane had never been on a plane before, and Lena cried at the airport when she saw her coming out of the gate with a suitcase bigger than she was. Emil arranged the car from the airport. Emil arranged the groceries. Emil arranged, gently, for a woman named Mrs. Patel to come in twice a day and help Kathleen with the cast. Lena protested. Emil, for the only time she had ever heard him speak more than a sentence at once, said, Miss Carter, Mr. Vale says your mother is safe. Mr. Vale says your mother will be safe. Mr. Vale does not say things he does not mean. Let us help. This is the part where we help. She let them help. She flew back to New York on a Wednesday morning. Her mother was sitting up in bed reading a mystery novel with Diane in the kitchen making pot roast. Before she left, Kathleen caught her hand. Lena. Mom. This man. Mom, Lena Marie, listen to your mother. I'm listening. This man who sent strangers to my hospital, who is paying for a woman to come change my sheets, who called you every night at 9 o'clock for 4 nights, who calls at 9 every night, Lena, like he's a goddamn Swiss watch. Mom, do you love him? Lena opened her mouth. She closed it. I don't know, she said. Lena. I don't. Mom, I don't know yet. Well, when you figure it out, you call me. Okay? And Lena? Yes. Whatever he is, whatever he does, whatever kind of man he is, and I have a guess, sweetheart, I'm old, not stupid. He loves you. Mom, he loves you, Lena. A man who does not love you does not call at 9 o'clock. A man who does not love you does not send strangers to sit in the hallway outside an old woman's hospital room. A man who does not love you does not arrange for Mrs. Patel, who is, by the way, a very nice woman with a lovely accent. A man who does not love you does not do any of it. I am telling you this because I am your mother and I am allowed to. Lena kissed her mother on the forehead and did not answer. She flew back to New York. She did not go to her apartment. The car from the airport took her straight to the building without a name in Manhattan. She went up in the elevator to the 43rd floor. The doors opened directly into the apartment. Casimir lifted his gray head and thumped his tail. Adrian was standing in the middle of the living room in a black t-shirt and jeans. He had not shaved in 4 days. He looked exhausted. She walked across the room and she put her bag down and she walked into him and he wrapped his arms around her and held her for a very long time, without saying anything, while she cried into the front of his shirt and Casimir the borzoi watched politely from the rug. After a while, he said, against her hair, "I am going to end this. I am going to end him." Adrian, I have let this go on too long. I have been careful because I was afraid of losing you. I have been too careful. I should have moved 3 weeks ago. This should not have happened to your mother. She is okay. She should not have had to be okay. Adrian, Lena, listen. I'm going to end this. Not tomorrow, not next week, but soon, in a way that makes it impossible for him to touch you, or your mother, or anyone else you love, ever again. And while I do it, you are going to be somewhere I can protect you, not locked in a room. I am not going to do that to you, but somewhere I can see. Do you understand? Yes. There is an apartment 2 floors down from this one. It is furnished. No one knows it is mine. It is in the name of a company in Delaware that has nothing to do with me on paper. I want you to live there. For as long as this takes, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, maybe more. You will come and go as you please. Emma will drive you where you need to go. You will keep working at the diner if you want. You will keep taking your photographs. You will live your life. But you will sleep there, not at the walk-up in Brooklyn, and you will come upstairs for dinner when you want to come upstairs for dinner. Will you do this? Yes. Thank you. Adrian. Yes. I'm scared. I know. My mother's going to be okay. Yes. Say it again. Your mother is going to be okay, Lena. I promise you. I will not let anything else happen to her. She looked up at him. His pale eyes were not tired anymore. They were something else. They were hard and focused, and they had the look of a man who had just made a decision he had been avoiding for a long time and was done avoiding it. For the first time since she had known him, she understood, fully and without flinching, exactly what kind of man he was. She understood, and she stayed. That was the part that mattered. She stayed. In Staten Island, 3 nights later, Dmitry Kuznetsov was eating borscht at the kitchen table of a house that looked like any other house. His wife was singing in the next room. The kettle was on. His phone rang. He looked at it. It was a number he did not recognize. He answered. Yes. Dmitry. Dmitry Kuznetsov set his spoon down, very carefully. Adrian, I'm going to tell you something and then I'm going to hang up. You are not going to get another call from me. You are going to get one more communication from me, and then we are going to be done. Do you understand? Adrian, listen. Do you understand? A pause. Yes. The woman's name is Lena Carter. You know her name. You have always known her name. You are not going to say her name again. You are not going to think it. You're not going to have anyone think it for you. Her mother is a woman named Kathleen Carter. You are not going to say that name either. You're going to forget that there was ever an incident in a parking lot in Akron, Ohio. You are going to call off the men you have watching her, all of them, by tomorrow morning. If a single one of them is still on her block by noon tomorrow, I will know, and the conversation we are having right now will turn into a very different conversation, and you will not enjoy any part of it. Adrian, I am not finished. Silence. I have paid Marcus Delaney's debt. That was a gift. I am taking the gift back. As of this phone call, you owe me $86,000. You will not pay me in money. You will pay me in territory. I'm going to send you a piece of paper tomorrow. It will list 4 things. You are going to sign it. The 4 things are going to be yours until you sign, and mine after. If you do not sign, Dmitry, we will go to war. I do not want to go to war. War is expensive and it is loud, and neither of us has the patience for it we used to have. Sign the paper. We go on living. You in Staten Island. Me in Manhattan, the woman in whatever part of her life she chooses, the old woman in Akron in her apartment with her cast, Everyone alive, everyone tired, everyone done. Another silence, longer this time. And if I don't sign, then I come for you. Adrian, you have never come for anyone in your life without a reason bigger than a woman. I have a reason bigger than a woman now. What is it? Adrian Vale, sitting at the glass desk on the 43rd floor of a building that did not advertise its name, with a gray dog asleep at his feet and the lights of the city burning outside the window behind him, looked at his own hand on the desk, the hand with the scar across the knuckles from the knife fight in Kiev when he was 22, the hand that was perfectly steady because his father had trained him before the kitchen floor in Odessa, and a Vale's hand does not shake. He looked at it. I don't owe you one, he said. He hung up. He sat in the dark for a long time, then he reached across the desk and picked up another phone. The second phone. The one that had a different number than any of his other phones. The one that only 4 people on Earth had called in 11 days. And one of them had been Lena Carter at 2:47 in the morning by accident. He tapped her name. Adrian? Are you home? Yes, I'm in the apartment, 2 floors down, like you said. Lock the door, I'm coming down. Is something wrong? No, I just need to see you for a minute. He stood up. He walked to the elevator. He went down 2 floors. He knocked on the door. She opened it. She was in sweatpants and one of his old t-shirts that she had taken without asking 3 days ago, and her hair was up in a messy twist, and she was, in that moment, the most beautiful thing he had ever seen in his life. He stood in the doorway and he said, I told him, it is done. It is not over, but it is done. The worst of it. He will sign. He will sign because he does not want a war any more than I do. He will sign by Friday, and then the hard part is over. Adrian. Yes. Come in. He came in. She closed the door. She locked it. She turned around and looked at him, and whatever she had been planning to say, she didn't say, because he crossed the room in 3 steps and kissed her the way he had wanted to kiss her on Sunday at the lake. And she kissed him back. And for the first time in 16 years, Adrian Vale stopped calculating, and stopped watching the doors, and stopped listening for footsteps, and let himself be for 1 hour, in one room, with one person who was, against every law of his world and hers, on his side. Somewhere in Staten Island, a proud man in a kitchen stared at a bowl of cooling borscht and thought about a signature on a piece of paper he did not yet have, and about the son of Maxime Vale, who had just, after 11 years, stopped being careful. Dmitry Kuznetsov did not sign on Friday. Dmitry Kuznetsov did not sign at all. On Thursday night, Victor drove up to the building without a name and took the service elevator to the 38th floor and walked into Adrian's office without knocking, which he had not done once in 11 years. Adrian looked up. He moved the money, Victor said. Which money? All of it. Every account we know about. Offshore, staggered, between 3 in the morning and 6 in the morning yesterday. Our man at the bank caught it on the back end. It is gone, sir. It is not frozen. It is gone. Adrian was very still. He's not signing, he said. No. He is running. He is running, and he is not running quietly. He has pulled his people off the street, all of them, at once. The 2 that were watching Miss Carter's block, the 4 in Brighton Beach, the crew at the warehouse on Richmond. He has collapsed his network in 36 hours. Men like Dmitry do not do this unless they are about to do something very loud, sir, and then leave. He's going to come at us first, yes. Here, possibly, or at her. He knows where she lives now, both places. He has known about the walk-up for 3 years. He has known about the apartment downstairs for, I would guess, 4 days. He is not as stupid as we would like him to be. Adrian stood up. He walked to the window. He looked at the city. It looked exactly the same as it had looked every other night of his life. That was the part he had never gotten used to. That the city never changed its face for you. Whatever was about to happen in it happened behind that same stupid, uncaring skyline. Get her out, he said. Tonight. Not in 6 weeks, not after the paper. Tonight. Take her to the house upstate. Emil drives. You and 2 others go with them. Do not bring her here first. Do not tell her anything until you are in the car. Tell her I will come when I can. Sir, if I may. Yes. She will not go without you. She will. Tell her. Tell her, Kathleen. Tell her if she is in my apartment when he comes, he will come to my apartment. and my apartment is a building full of people who did not sign up to die for me. Tell her. Tell her the house upstate is the safest place I have, and no one alive except me and Emil knows it exists. Tell her I'm asking. Tell her I'm asking, Victor. She will go. Yes, sir. And Victor, sir, if he gets past me, if something happens, if I'm not available, you drive her to her mother's, you put them both on a plane, you take them out of the country, you use the Moldovan passports, you go to Odessa, you take them to my mother, you tell my mother what happened, my mother will know what to do. Victor nodded, once, the way a man nods when he has been handed a thing he hopes he will never have to do. Sir, yes, I would like to say something. Say it. For 11 years you have not asked me to stand with you in anything that was personal. I want you to know that I would have. In any of those years. For any of those things. It did not have to be this. Adrian did not turn from the window. He closed his eyes for just a moment. When he opened them, they were dry. Thank you, Victor. Go. Victor went. Adrian stood at the window a little longer. He thought, for no reason he could name, of the small boy in the kitchen in Brighton Beach, under a table, watching a man he loved bleed out on linoleum because another man had decided he wanted what that man had. He thought about the hour his uncle Yuri had put him on a plane at 14 and said, in Russian, "You do not have to become him. You will probably become him. But you do not have to." He thought of a dog named Casimir, and a bowl of pasta in a galley kitchen, and a woman in a cheap green dress standing in an elevator looking at her own reflection. He did not have time to decide anything. The deciding had been done. It had been done weeks ago, he understood now, the moment he did not delete a photograph at 2:47 in the morning. Everything after that had just been the world arranging itself around the choice. He took a new phone out of his desk drawer. He dialed a number he had not dialed in 7 years. It was the number of a man he had, at 25, done a favor for that had been larger than any favor he had ever done before or since. The man had said, at the time, if you ever need one thing back, you have one thing back, not two. The man answered on the first ring. Adrian, I am calling in the favor. A pause. Not long. Long enough. Tell me? Adrian told him. Yes. Lena was asleep when Victor knocked. She had been sleeping a lot since she had moved into the apartment 2 floors down. The fear, and the mother, and the flights, and the man upstairs with the scar across his knuckles had all caught up to her at once, and her body, which had been running on adrenaline for weeks, had decided at some point to start cashing in the tab. She slept like a person who had been underwater for a long time and finally come up. She came to the door in the t-shirt and sweatpants, her hair flattened on one side, her eyes swollen. Victor. Miss Carter, I apologize. You need to come with me. Now. A bag. 2 minutes. What? Where? Upstate. Mr. Vale's house. It is not safe here tonight. Where is he? He is upstairs. He is not coming. Not tonight. He asked me to tell you he is asking. Those are the words he gave me. He is asking. She stared at him. For a long, stupid second, the whole thing didn't land. Her brain kept trying to make it a mistake. A drill. A joke. It wasn't any of those. She could see it in Victor's face. Victor did not have a face that did drills. My mother, she said, is safe. 2 men with her. A third is landing in Akron at 6 tomorrow morning. She is covered, Miss Carter. Please, 2 minutes. 2. She went back inside. She grabbed the leather bag. The Sony went in it because she did not know, in that moment, how to go anywhere without it. Underwear, 2 t-shirts, a pair of jeans, the toothbrush, her charger. She did not change her clothes. There was no time for that. In the elevator going down, she said, Victor, is he going to die tonight? Victor looked straight ahead. I do not know, Miss Carter. Tell me the truth. I do not know is the truth. I know he's very good at what he does. I know he has been preparing for something like this for a long time. I know he told me 10 minutes ago to get you out of the building so that when it comes, it does not come where you are. That is what I know. Victor. Miss Carter. Thank you. Get in the car, Miss Carter. She got in the car. The drive up was not like the drive up had been the Saturday before. It was full dark. The Tappan Zee was a line of red taillights over a black river. Emil drove. Victor sat in the passenger seat. There were two other cars, one ahead of them, one behind, both with men she did not know in them. Nobody talked. Casimir was in the back with her, his head on her thigh, which she understood was not an accident, which she understood meant that Adrian had sent the dog with her on purpose, and that was the thing that finally broke her. She cried on the Tappan Zee with her hand in the fur of a 13-year-old borzoi. While a man she had kissed for the first time 5 days ago stayed behind in a building she did not know the name of, to wait for another man who had tried to kill her mother. At the house, she did not sleep. She sat on the porch with a blanket and a cup of coffee that went cold, and she watched the driveway through the birches, and she waited. Victor sat on the other rocking chair. He did not talk. He was not, she had learned, a man who filled silences with talking. He was a man who sat inside silences with you and made them easier to bear. Her phone buzzed at 2:09 in the morning. Not Adrian, a number she did not recognize. She looked at it for a long time before she tapped it. Miss Carter. Her stomach dropped. I do not have much time, so I will be brief. Your Mr. Vale is going to die tonight. That is unfortunate for him. It does not have to be unfortunate for you. You are a young woman. You are not part of this. You made a mistake with the telephone, and here you are. I understand mistakes. You have until dawn to make a decision. If you leave the house, you are in, alone, on foot, and walk to the main road. A car will be waiting. You will get in. You will be taken somewhere. You will be safe. Your mother will be safe. The people who have been pretending to protect you will be permitted to go on with their small and terrible lives. If you do not come, Miss Carter, the house you are in will not be a house after tomorrow. I will be sorry about this, in a small way, but only in a small way. D.K. Lena read it 3 times. Then, without looking at Victor, she got up and she walked inside, and she closed the door of the little library behind her. She stood in the middle of that room for a long time. She understood, with a clarity that was almost loving, what was happening. Dmitry Kuznetsov did not want to kill her. Killing her would give Adrian a reason. Dmitry Kuznetsov did not want to give Adrian a reason. He wanted to take her. He wanted to hold her. He wanted to be the man with the thing. He had been, for 11 years, the man who almost had the thing, and never quite did. And now he saw the thing, and he wanted it. She understood something else too. She understood that if she walked out the door, alone, at dawn, it would not work. Whatever he had told her in the message, it would not work. She would not be safe. Her mother would not be safe. She would be a woman in a room somewhere, and Adrian would come for her, and people would die, including possibly her. And Dmitry would still be alive at the end of it, because he would have used her to drag Adrian into a place of his choosing. She understood also that if she stayed in the house, Victor and Emil and the 2 men in the other cars would fight, and some of them would die, and the house would burn, and Casimir, who was asleep at her feet, 13 years old and lazy, and a gift from a dead woman named Mrs. Ashford, would burn with it. She sat down in the leather chair in the middle of the small library, and she thought, harder and faster than she had ever thought in her life. Then she opened her phone, and she typed, Adrian. The dots appeared immediately. He was awake. Of course he was awake. Lena. Are you safe? Adrian? Dmitry texted me. She sent him the message. A long, long pause, then, I am going to kill him. Adrian, listen to me. I have an idea. No, you haven't heard it. Lena, no. Adrian, will you please listen to me? A pause. Another pause. Then, tell me. She told him. It took 4 minutes to type it. Her thumbs shook the whole time. She had never, in her life, typed anything so important. When she was done, she sent it, and she sat in the leather chair in the little library, and she listened to her own heart in her ears. The dots appeared. They stayed there for a long time. They disappeared. They came back. Lena, this is insane. I know. He will kill you. He will try not to. That is not the same thing. Adrian, you have men. You have Victor. You have Emil. You have the friend you called tonight, the one whose name you haven't told me. You have more than him. You have always had more than him. The only reason he gets close is because he has me. Take me out of the equation. Actually, take me out. Not hide me. Use me. I am not using you. You are not using me. I am using me. There is a difference, Adrian. I am an adult woman who has had a very bad year, and I'm telling you, I am going to walk to that main road at dawn. I would like you to be ready when his car pulls up. That is all I am asking." A very, very long pause. Then, Lena. "Yes. If anything happens to you, I will burn it all. The city, Staten Island, Odessa. I will burn all of it. Do you understand? I know you think you will. I know you won't, because I am telling you not to. Whatever happens, Adrian, you don't burn it. Promise me. I cannot promise that. Promise me you will try." A pause. "I will try." "Good. I love you." She stared at the words. She had typed them without planning to. They just came out because it was 2:41 in the morning, and it was maybe the last thing she would ever type to him, and she had wanted to get it on the record. The dots appeared. "I love you, Lena Carter." She closed her eyes. She pressed her phone to her forehead for a second, hard, and she breathed. Then she stood up, and she opened the door, and she went and told Victor the plan. Victor, who did not argue with anyone in the course of his professional life, argued with her for 11 minutes. Then he got on the phone with Adrian. Then he argued with Adrian. Then he listened. Then he hung up the phone, and he looked at Lena, and for the first time since she had known him, his face did something that was almost a smile. "Miss Carter," he said, "you are very stupid, and you are very brave, and Mr. Vale has a good eye." "Thank you, Victor. Sit down. Let me show you where they will be." No. At 6:14 in the morning, with the sky the color of old pewter, Lena Carter walked down the long gravel driveway of a stone house in the woods upstate. Alone. In the cheap coat from the Salvation Army on Atlantic, with her old leather bag over her shoulder and her hands in her pockets to keep them from shaking. She did not look back at the house. She had been told not to. The main road was a quarter of a mile from the end of the driveway. The birches were just beginning to be visible in the gray light. She could see her own breath. She could hear, somewhere deep in the woods, a bird starting up. She thought about her father, who had taken her fishing exactly once when she was 7, the year before he got sick. She thought about her mother in Akron, with the cast, with Mrs. Patel coming to change her sheets. She thought about Diane in the kitchen making pot roast because she had never flown before and had gotten on a plane anyway. She thought about Adrian in a room in the woods behind her, a rifle in his hands, pale eyes on her small dark figure walking down a driveway in a coat that was 2 sizes too big. She thought about this version of Lena Carter who had sat on the floor of a bathroom 9 weeks ago and cried about a toothbrush. She was that woman. She was still that woman. She was also a different one. Both. The main road came up to meet her. The car was there. A long black SUV idling, exhaust curling up into the cold. 2 men got out. She did not recognize their faces. That was fine. That had been the point. "Miss Carter." "Yes." "Please, get in. We will drive." "Where?" "A place where you will be safe." "Okay." She got in. The back seat was warm. She kept her hands in her pockets because they were still shaking and she did not want them to see. One of the men got in beside her. The other drove. They pulled out onto the road. They drove for 6 minutes. Nobody spoke. Then the driver said, in Russian, something short and irritated, and slowed down because there was a line of traffic ahead of them, which was not possible because it was 6:22 in the morning on a road in the woods where there was never any traffic. The traffic was not traffic. It was 2 trucks, one ahead and one behind, stopped at angles across the road. The men in the SUV understood about a second and a half too late that they had driven into a box. The one next to Lena reached for something. A voice outside said very loudly, in English, "Hands, now!" Lena had been told by Victor to drop flat the second she heard that word. She dropped flat. She felt the man next to her lunge for her and she felt the back window go. Not with a shatter, but with a quick, hard pop, and he went limp against her shoulder the way a heavy coat goes limp on a hook. She did not scream. She had thought she would scream. She did not. She lay on the back seat with her face against the leather and her eyes squeezed shut and she waited. The door opened. A hand took her elbow, gently, professional. "Miss Carter, it is me. Come on." "Emile." She let him pull her out. There were men moving around the cars. She did not count them. She did not look at faces. There were, in the corner of her eye, 2 shapes on the road that were not moving. She did not look at those either. Emile walked her past all of it with his body between her and everything else. the way you walk a child past an accident, and he put her into the back seat of a third car that had been waiting in the trees, and he slammed the door, and the car went. In the car, Victor handed her a thermos of tea. "Drink, Miss Carter." "Where is Adrian?" "He is coming. He is 40 minutes behind us." "Is he? He is fine. It is done." "Did he?" "Miss Carter, drink the tea, please." She drank the tea. They drove, not back to the stone house, but to a second house, a smaller one, on a different road, that Adrian had not mentioned to her, and that she understood somewhere in the back of her tired mind was yet another thing he had been keeping in reserve for the day he needed it. She sat on a plain wooden chair in the kitchen of the second house with her hands around the thermos, and she waited. 40 minutes later, a car pulled up. Adrian got out. He was still wearing the black t-shirt and jeans he had been wearing on the 43rd floor the night before. He was not bleeding. He did not have any visible injuries. He walked across the yard toward the house like a man walking through water, slow, careful, one step at a time. When he came through the kitchen door, Lena was already on her feet. They did not say anything for a minute. He looked at her. He was looking at her like a man who had, in the last 4 hours, calculated 17 different ways this morning was going to go, and only 2 of them had her alive at the end of it, and he was not yet fully convinced that this was one of the 2. She crossed the room, and she put her arms around him, and she said into his shoulder, "Is he dead?" "Yes." "Is it over?" "It is over." "How?" "Lena." "How, Adrian? I need to know." He pulled back. He looked at her. "He sent 2 cars to get you, the one that picked you up. The second one was a mile behind, as a backup. He was not in either. He was at a house in New Jersey, waiting for a phone call. The call was supposed to come at 7 o'clock. We made sure the call came on time, from one of his own men. The man told him the package was in hand. The man told him to come to the second house, the one we are in now, where we would be holding you. He came. He brought 4 men with him. He thought he was walking into his own operation. He was not. He walked in, and my friend from last night's phone call, you do not need his name, was in the chair you just got out of. I was in the hallway. He and his men had guns. We had more guns. Nobody on our side was hurt. Dmitri himself, Lena, he raised his weapon. He did not have to. He did. And that was the end of it." She closed her eyes. "Okay? It is not going to come back on us. The friend I called in the favor on, his organization takes the credit. It explains itself. A Staten Island feud that finally boiled over. Nothing to do with me on paper. Nothing to do with a woman from Brooklyn on paper. The 2 men on the road this morning were contractors he had flown in from Europe. Nobody will look for them hard. Lena, it is done. It is actually done." "Okay. Okay. I don't know what to say, Adrian. I am really tired." "Come here." She came there. He sat down on the wooden chair, and he pulled her down into his lap, which was not a thing either of them had done before. And she curled against his chest, and she put her ear against his shirt, and she listened to his heart, which was going faster than she had ever heard it go, faster than a man in control of his life has a heart going. "Your heart is—" "I know. I've never heard it do that. I have never asked it to do that before." She laughed a little. It came out like a cough. "Adrian." "Yes. I am never doing anything like that again. No. I mean it. I am done. I did one brave thing, and it is going to be the one brave thing. The rest of my life is going to be a normal life. Do you understand?" "Yes, Lena. I want a normal life." "Yes." "With you in it." "Yes." "But a normal one." "Yes." He did not say anything else for a while. He was holding her the way a man holds something he has almost lost. Outside the window, the sun was coming up. The woods were lighting up a little at a time, tree by tree. Somewhere very far away, a bird was going again. The apartment on the 43rd floor looked the same as it always had. The windows, the bookshelves, the rug that had seen feet. Casimir on his bed in front of the fire, which Adrian had lit against the April chill because old dogs felt cold more than young dogs did. But it wasn't the same. Something in the room had settled. Lena had moved in, officially, in May. Not right away. She had gone back to her apartment in Brooklyn first for a week because she had needed to do that. She had needed to sit at her own little kitchen table in her own studio with the water stain shaped like Florida, and she had needed to decide to leave it. She had needed it to be her decision. Adrian had understood that without her having to explain it, which was increasingly one of the things she loved about him. She had kept the lease on the walk-up. She was not ready to give it up entirely. She paid the rent out of her own account every month. Adrian did not comment on that. He was, in the long, quiet way of men who had grown up without anything, particular about the things he did not ask a person to give up. She had gotten a studio in August. A real one. Storefront, in a building on Union Street in Gowanus, with a big north-facing window and a concrete floor she had painted gray herself. The sign on the door said Carter Photography, in plain black letters. She had paid the first 6 months' rent with her own money, which had been almost all of her own money. She had done it that way on purpose. She had told Adrian the night she signed the lease, "I am not letting you pay for this. I need one thing in my life I made without you." He had nodded. He had not argued. He had said, "Then I will not pay for it." He had not paid for it. The studio did well. Not spectacularly. Well enough. She shot families mostly, in the beginning. Then a small magazine hired her to shoot a portrait series on women who ran bodegas in the outer boroughs. And the series got noticed, and she got more work from it. And by the end of the first year, she was booked 3 months out, and she had hired a kid named Maya to help her in the mornings. She did not take any more pictures in rooms with 8 men at long tables. That had been a one-time thing. They had agreed on that. Adrian slowly, over the course of that year and the next, pulled his own life in. Not all the way. That was not possible, he told her, and that was the truth. A man did not walk away cleanly from what he had built. But he sold the things that could be sold. He closed the things that could be closed. He kept the cleanest pieces, the information mostly, the sitting quietly in rooms and knowing things, and he let the rest go, one piece at a time, to men who would run it worse than he had. That was all right. It was not his problem anymore to run it well. That was the part of himself he was trying, in a slow, clumsy way, to put down. He was bad at putting things down. She watched him sometimes, standing at the window in the evenings, and she could see him forcing his shoulders to come away from his ears. He was a man who had been holding a heavy thing for 25 years, and his body did not quite believe yet that he was allowed to set it down. She did not push him. She let him do it in his own time. Some nights, when it was bad, she would just walk up behind him and put her hand flat between his shoulder blades, and after a minute, she would feel him breathe out. His mother came to stay with them for Christmas. She stayed for 3 weeks. She made borscht. She taught Lena how to make it. She argued with Adrian in Russian about whether he was reading enough poetry. She told Lena, on the 3rd day, that Lena was finally starting to look like a person who was eating. Lena laughed and said, "I was eating before, Anna." And Anna said, "Not like this you weren't." Kathleen came in the spring. Kathleen and Anna did not speak the same language, really. Anna's English was good and getting better, and Kathleen's Russian was, as she said, "Hello and thank you. And that's because your son taught me." But they sat together on the couch with tea and a plate of cookies, and they somehow managed to have a 2-hour conversation about their grown children, mostly in tones of voice. Adrian and Lena stood in the kitchen and listened through the doorway and tried not to laugh. "They're judging us," Lena whispered. "Yes." "They're judging us in 2 languages." "Yes." "I love this." "Me too." Marcus Delaney died in a car accident in Arizona in the November of the 2nd year. A drunk driver on a highway outside Flagstaff. It was, as far as Adrian could find out, and he did find out, an actual drunk driver, an actual accident, a thing nobody had arranged. Lena did not go to the funeral. She sent her condolences to his mother, whom she had always liked, a woman named Grace. Grace wrote her back. Grace said, "Lena, thank you. I know you and my son did not end well. I know my son did not end well." Lena put the letter in a drawer and did not take it out for a long time, but she did not throw it away either. Some ends do not get to be clean. That was the part you learned, once you had been around enough of them. Dmitry Kuznetsov was buried quietly, by a cousin, in a cemetery in New Jersey. Nobody from Adrian's world went. Nobody from Dmitry's world invited them. The war everyone had been afraid of did not happen. Another man took over Dmitry's work in Staten Island. The new man called Adrian politely, on a phone that had been arranged for the purpose, and said, Mr. Vale, I do not want anything from you, and I do not want you to want anything from me. I would like us to go on with our separate lives. Adrian had said, I would like that also. That had been the end of that. On a Saturday, in the May of the third year, Adrian and Lena drove up to the stone house in the woods. It was not empty anymore. Adrian had moved some things up there over time. A better couch, a second rocking chair on the porch, a rug for Casimir because Casimir's hips had started to bother him on the stone floor. The house had started to look like a house a person lived in, instead of a house a person visited. On that Saturday, Adrian cooked stew again, and they ate it in the kitchen, and they walked down to the lake, and he tried to teach her to skip a stone again, and she still could not skip a stone, and he laughed at her, and she laughed at him. Laughing at her, and then at the edge of the water, with the birches and new green leaves on every side, and the lake as still as it had been that first day, he stopped her with a hand on her elbow. He said, Lena, yes, I'm going to ask you something, and I'm going to ask it badly, because I have never asked it before and I have not practiced. I'm not going to get down on a knee. I'm going to ask you to marry me standing up, here, at this lake, because this lake is where I first understood that the thing that was happening in me was a thing that was not going to stop. She started crying before he finished. Adrian, I have a ring. I have had it for 1.5 years. I have been waiting for the right day. Every day has been the right day. I finally got tired of waiting. He took the ring out of his pocket. It was not a big ring. It was a thin gold band with a small garnet in it, a dark red stone, the color of old wine. He said, I know this is not what people give anymore. My mother had a ring like this from my father. Garnet was what they gave where they came from when they had no money. My father saved for 1 year to buy her the one she had. She still wears it. I asked her what kind of stone I should get you. She said garnet. She said, tell her it is because we are poor people, even when we are not poor. Tell her that is the point. Lena was crying so hard she could not talk. She nodded. She nodded about 4 times. Is that a yes? That is a yes, Adrian. That is so much of a yes. That is... He put the ring on her finger. His hand was shaking a little for the first time since she had known him. She watched it shake. She said, Adrian, your hand. Yes, your hand is shaking. I know. I didn't think it ever did that. Neither did I. He looked at it for a second, at his own shaking hand on hers, and then he looked up at her, and there was something in his face she had never seen before. Not in him, not in anyone. It was the look of a man who had decided 40 years too late to start being alive. They got married in Ohio because of Kathleen's caste, which was 1 year gone by then, but which had become a family joke, Kathleen insisting that she could not travel anywhere farther than the Cleveland airport ever again. They got married in the backyard of Kathleen's house with 15 people and a rented tent. Anna flew in. Anna cried through the entire ceremony, which was conducted by a judge named Patricia, who was a friend of Kathleen's from the dentist's office. Diane came. Pearl from Nostrand came. Victor came. Emil came, and Emil, it turned out, was a truly terrible dancer, and Lena made him dance with her anyway. Adrian wore a gray suit and no tie. Lena wore a simple ivory dress she had bought for $400 in a shop on Atlantic Avenue. She had bought it herself. She had not let him pay for it. He had not asked to. After the ceremony, Anna took Lena's face in her hands again, the way she had the first time, at the Pierre. Lena. Anna. My daughter. Your daughter. Anna said something in Russian, very fast, her voice breaking in the middle of it. Lena did not ask her to translate. Some things did not need translating. They had a daughter 2 years later. They named her Margaret, after Adrian's mother's mother, and they called her Maggie. She had Lena's brown eyes and Adrian's hands and an absolutely terrible temper that nobody in either family would claim responsibility for. Casimir lived to see her crawl. He died, old and comfortable, on the rug in front of the fire, 3 weeks after her 2nd birthday. Adrian cried over the dog in a way he had not cried over anything in his life, and Lena held him on the floor of the apartment and let him, because some griefs, when you finally get to have them, are the griefs of all the other things you didn't cry about either. They got another dog, another Borzoi, a young one, a rescue. Maggie named him Mr. because she was 2, and Mr. was what stuck. The studio on Union Street got bigger. Lena moved it, after Maggie was born, to a bigger space on 3rd Avenue. She hired 2 more photographers. She did not become famous. She did not want to. She did good work, and she was paid for it. And she came home at the end of most days and ate dinner with her family, which was, she had learned, the entire point of every single thing she had ever done. On Maggie's 5th birthday, Adrian took a new photograph down from a shelf and handed it to Lena. It was an old one, years old. It was the photograph she had taken of his hands, folded on the table in the private club on East 63rd Street, that afternoon with the 7 men. She had given him a print of it once, early on, as a joke. He had framed it. "Why are you giving me this?" she said. "Because I want you to look at this hand." She looked. "It does not shake anymore," he said. "It does not shake, Lena. It has not shaken in a year, not once. I didn't realize until this morning. It used to shake after the lake. It would shake in small moments, when I was tired, when I was scared about you or Maggie or my mother. It stopped. I don't know when, I just noticed." "Adrian, I think I am done being afraid, Lena." "Oh, I did not know I could be." She stood there with the photograph of his hands in her hands, and she thought about a woman she had been, in a bad mirror in a cheap apartment at 2:47 in the morning, in a black slip that had been $7 at a thrift store, with a caption that said, "Look what you lost," which had been, she understood now, not a message to Marcus at all. It had been a message to herself. She had been trying to convince herself that she had been something once, and somebody had lost it, and she was still there. She had been right. She had been something. Somebody had lost it. She was still there, but the somebody who had lost her, in the end, had not been Marcus. Marcus had not been big enough to lose her. The somebody had been Lena Carter. Lena Carter, age 26, scared, broke, exhausted, who had been slowly, over the course of 4.5 years, losing herself. A wrong number had saved her. That was the thing she thought about sometimes when she was making coffee in the morning, badly, the way Adrian had taught her to make it, with a pinch of salt in the grounds. A wrong number. A mistake. A drunk, stupid, beautiful mistake that a lonely woman had made in the middle of the night because she needed someone to see. Someone had seen. Not the right person, by any definition of right she had grown up with. A dangerous person, a hard person, a person she was never supposed to meet. But also, someone who had asked, first, "Are you safe?" Someone who had said, in 3 lines of black ink on ivory paper, "I would like to buy you breakfast. You may choose the place." Someone who had stood in her kitchen and cooked her pasta in a blue and white striped apron because she was too thin. Someone who had put his hand between his own shoulder blades, metaphorically, every night for years, and forced them down, and tried. Tried the way a person tries, not the way a fairy tale pretends a person tries. Tried badly sometimes. Tried with mistakes. Tried anyway. They would not be fine forever. Nobody was fine forever. She knew that. He knew that. There would be bad days. There would be, somewhere down the line, a phone call she did not want to answer, and a piece of his old life that rose up to meet them on a Tuesday afternoon, and an argument about Maggie that they would not resolve cleanly, and an illness and a loss, and all the ordinary terrible things that every ordinary couple met eventually. She knew that. She was not a child anymore. She was a woman in her 30s now, with fine lines at the corners of her eyes from laughing, and a ring on her finger with a small dark red stone in it, and a daughter asleep in the next room, and a man at the stove burning onions again because he never did watch them. She knew that. She was going to stay anyway. That was the thing in the end. That was the whole story. The mistake had been the message. The answer had been the staying, every day for the rest of their lives, the two of them and the people they had brought together, the mother in Ohio and the mother in Odessa and the friends from the diner and the driver who had become an uncle to their daughter. Every day, they were going to make the small, dull, unglamorous, almost boring choice to stay. She set the photograph down. She walked into the kitchen. Adrian was scraping the black off the onions. Maggie was at the counter with a wooden spoon, pretending to help, which meant making a lot of mess. Mr. the Borzoi was under the table waiting for something to fall. Lena leaned in the doorway and she watched them for a second. Adrian looked up. He saw her watching. He did the thing he did, the small, crooked half-smile that had not changed in 7 years, the one that was only for her. "What?" he said. "Nothing." Lena? Nothing. Just burn the onions a little more, Adrian. We like them that way now. Lena, I love you. I love you. She crossed the kitchen. She picked up her daughter. She kissed the top of her daughter's head. She stood at the stove next to her husband, their shoulders touching, and she watched, through the big window over the sink, the soft gold light of a Brooklyn evening coming down on the rooftops of a city that had, against every odd and every expectation and every warning she had ever been given, turned out, in the end, to be home. A wrong message had started it. The right life had finished it. And somewhere, in the drawer of a desk in a quiet study in that same apartment, a phone she did not use anymore sat dark and silent, with one very old text thread in it, and the very first line of that thread, the line that had changed everything she was 3 words typed by a stranger at 2:49 in the morning, 7 years ago, when he was still a stranger and she was still alone. Are you safe? She was. She finally was.